right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go ahead and get this party started, for lack of a better term. Welcome to the Laramie County Commissioners Forum. We appreciate each of you taking your time to come out and learn more about our candidates seeking public office. This event is sponsored by the South Cheyenne Community Development Association, also known as the SCCDA, and I am Laura Jeffrey, the president of the SCCDA. This evening, if you would all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we'd also like to say thank you to all the candidates for coming out and being willing to take some hard hits from the community, asking those tough questions that everybody would like to know. This evening you'll hear from each of the candidates that are running for county commissioner. You'll have the opportunity to ask them the tough questions about their platforms, their plans, their viewpoints, and their goals if elected to public office. Our goal is to negate the mudslinging and opponents' he said, she said competitions. There are index cards and pens spread throughout the room. Please write your questions on these cards and pass them to myself, to Cheryl, she's back there with the cream colored cardigan on, or to Dave Novick, not sure where Dave's hiding, right here, right in the front row, right in front of me, and we'll collect them. All the questions will be screened just to make sure that they're prim and proper and that the candidates have a fair opportunity to ask their questions. So this evening they will be timed, but they will each have an opportunity to ask the questions that you ask. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our moderator, Jeremiah Sandberg. Jeremiah, thank you very much for your time this evening. We appreciate you volunteering to help us out. All right, so good luck, everybody.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you to everyone who took the time to come out here tonight to be involved in the political process. I know that I'm preaching to the choir when I say that this election cycle is one of the most important elections that we've had in recent history, and this election, the race for county commissioner, is going to really shape the face of the county here in the years to come. It's a real privilege to be the moderator here tonight, and the privilege is made especially sweet by the fact that I'm the only candidate in the front that won't be answering questions tonight.
Yeah.
So in fact, I can ask them. I'm going to begin by laying out the format for tonight's forum. We will be beginning by opening statements with our candidates here. Now, I can tell you as a fellow candidate, it's a very difficult thing to try to say something substantial in your 2-minute opening. So we decided tonight to give the candidates a little more time. They will have 5 minutes to do their opening statements. So you're going to get to listen to them for a lot before we get to the questions. But we wanted to do that so they can really say substantially where they're at on the issues, what they see to be the big issues, and what their positions are going to be going forward, so that you, the voters, can get a real impression of what they believe to be important. And write out these questions, some of which we've already received, and spark that debate that we hope will follow. We have 11 candidates here tonight, and so this will take almost an hour to get through these questions, so you're really going to have a lot of time to think about the topics, maybe consider the topics that haven't been raised and why they're important to you, and really consider these questions. Questions can be directed towards a particular candidate or towards all the candidates, keeping in mind the rules that Laura already discussed. Each candidate will then have 2 minutes to respond to the question. While a question may be directed towards a particular candidate, if it's the sort of questions that may be answered by any of the candidates, the other candidates will have an opportunity to respond to that question if they desire. Of course, at the end of the Q&A, we will have a opportunity for closing statements that the candidates can use any which way they want. And I think since we've had 11 candidates around tonight, we'll have to limit that to 22 minutes for the candidates. Lisa here will be keeping the time and using the flashcards, so do pay attention to that. She's right down here in front. And so without further ado, let me introduce your candidates for Laramie County Commissioner. We have Mr. Mark Woods, Mr. Brett Kupik, Ms. Linda Heath, Mr. Inley Hazenauer, Ms. Christine Lummis, Mr. Troy Thompson, Mr. Larry Spear, Mr. Kurt Wilson, Mr. Art Hansen, Mr. Charles Eggert, and Mr. Rick Kessler. And I will note that all the candidates were invited to attend here tonight, and as you can see, most of them did turn out. So without further ado, Mr. Woods, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Mark Woods, and I'd like to start by thanking everybody for showing up tonight. This is great to see you all here. I hope that you will walk away, and that we all will walk away with some answers to some of our questions, and we'll know each other a little bit better. I'd like to thank Mrs. Jeffries and her organization, Mr. Sandberg, for their commitment tonight. And I'll tell you a few things about myself. The first thing I'll tell you is I don't like this a whole lot. I don't like talking in front of a bunch of people. I don't like holding a microphone. And so I might sound a little silly sometimes, so please forgive me for that as so. But I do kind of know what I'm talking about. I've lived here for 42 years. My great-great-grandparents came to Laramie County well over 100 years ago, and I've never left. Most of my family is here. I've owned my own business here now for over 14 years, and I've got a real good grasp of what I think we should happen here in Laramie County. We've got a lot of regulations, a lot of rules that I would really like to see us change, reduce. I think that a lot of times what we're seeing right now is regulations that are kind of stifling us, kind of holding us back as businessmen, as business owners, as citizens, as taxpayers, and I would very much like to work on reducing a lot of those. I read in a book that I was reading just the other night about this great country we live in, America. We're not a democracy, we are a republic, we're a representative government, and with a republic, you've got to have the rules and laws that we have, otherwise there would be chaos. However, there's a balance, there's a line, and you go over that line, then you have tyranny. And we have so many rules right now and regulations in so many aspects of our lives that I feel that we have crossed that line. And I would like to get us back into that balance. Probably not going to use all 5 minutes of my time because, like I said, I don't like this a whole lot. So I will just go ahead and close now. I'll tell you thank you for coming in, and I'll pass it on to Mr. Keith.
Good evening. I too would like to thank everybody for showing and for giving me the opportunity to speak. I am a lifelong Laramie County resident. I come from a very large family. I am 4th generation Laramie County. I was born here on the south side and raised. I went to art school. I went to the old Johnson Junior High, and I went to East High School. I then attended LCCC, and then I went to San Diego State University. I have owned and operated 2 small businesses here in Cheyenne. I own Pride Construction, and I also own Drywall Specialist. I ran those for about 20 years before the school district approached me and wanted me to come to work for them. I am the project manager for the school district. I do projects as small as carpeting a room to building the South High School complex. I put in roads. I've done right now I'm going to be doing Prairie Wind Elementary, and I'm also doing Davis Elementary. I have the plans on my desk for Perry Junior High. I have for Metal Arc Elementary, and I also have for the new art school. We've done several land purchases because we do a lot of planning to know where Lemon Cranley growth is going to be taking place. We don't want to build a school of a 500 student school if nobody's going to be building in that area. As you've noticed, we built like Saddle Ridge, and all of a sudden builders come in and they build around these schools. Now the school is overcrowded. So in our midst of planning, we try to head that off at the pass, which is very, very hard, and we do our due diligence and trying as hard as we can to do that. I sit in on several boards. I deal with the city on a day-to-day basis. I deal with the county on a day-to-day basis. On any given day, I have 275 contractors going full-time, full out. I know how to handle, and I have been handling taxpayers' money with all of these projects. I appreciate all of you coming, and I will pass on to Mrs. B.
That fits in there a little bit tighter than I expected. Thank you for the SCCDA for putting this on tonight. Appreciate that. See several familiar faces, both from the community and from the Cheyenne South Side here. And thank you for coming tonight. One of the questions that I've been asked so many times is, why did I decide to run again? And I go back to George Washington. He didn't decide to become president. He became president because people put his name forward, and they kept putting his name forward. And you know, we had a pretty doggone good founding father there in George Washington. And I kept being asked by friends 2 years ago to run, and they have been asking me again over the last 2 years to put my name in the hat and run again. You know, one of the things that I think sets me apart from the other candidates up here on the dais, except for the incumbents, and they should be at the meetings, is that I've been attending the public meetings that the commissioners have had for the last 2 years. I've been attending several of the boards and committee meetings as well. And in doing so, I feel like I have prepared myself and am far more knowledgeable on the issues that are facing Laramie County. And not only Laramie County itself, but I've also continued to attend the town council meetings out in Pine, Holden, and Burns. So I'm aware of the issues that they are dealing with as well. And that eastern Laramie County as well as western Laramie County are also important. Laramie County is not all about Cheyenne. One of the other things that I have learned is that in order to be a good commissioner, I believe that you have to be willing to listen first, ask questions, listen some more, seek more information, and do your research before making a decision. You have to respect all the opinions that are presented to you. You may not agree with them, but you at least have to sit down to the table and listen to what the other side says. I bring a wide variety of experience to the table. I'm a small business owner with a small general contracting business, so I know what it means for a small business owner to have to meet payroll, the challenges that we face with regulations. And yes, as a contracting business, we deal with the building regulations both in the city and the county. Ever since I was a teenager, I have held leadership roles in just about everything that I've been involved with, whether it was in school, whether it was in 4-H, whether it has been in our church, wherever. It seems that leadership somehow finds me. I'm a retired military spouse. I grew up in agriculture in western Nebraska. I know what it means to clean out the corrals and the barns. I've also been a homeschooling mom, and through being a homeschooling mom, I have an ingrained desire to learn. I have studied and I will research. I will do the work that it takes to become knowledgeable on the issues. I've also been involved with the political process and understand the legislative process and what it takes to work with the legislators to get things done. And again, I may not agree with them, but we will work together to find solutions. I believe that Laramie County has a bright future ahead of itself. There are a lot of exciting things happening, from the Swan Ranch to the mineral exploration that's going on right now. And granted, with the mineral exploration is coming a lot more revenue into the county. But the issue being is we should not count on that mineral revenue as being an ongoing thing. It could end at any time. So we need to be careful how we spend those revenues. Some of the things that I would like to work on if elected is continuing economic development, continuing the development at a pace that we can adapt to, planning and developing a vision for the future, and prioritizing our spending so that we can make the future a better place in Laramie County.
Hello, everybody. I'm M. Lee Hazenauer. I'd like to thank the Southside Development Association for putting this question and answer forum together. Thank Jeremiah for volunteering to ask the questions, and hopefully we can provide the answers that you're looking for here tonight. I was looking back in 2012 when I was out here debating, and I don't think I've changed that much. It was said I'm running as a citizen. I'm the problem solver. I have a master's degree in common sense. Work not only in full-time, but overtime to bring in every side of the county equal representation. And I'm looking forward to bringing business over here to the south side. And we sit on this board over here at the Southside Development Association. They have everything going for them with the new high school. You've got the college. You've got a new development coming forth in Sweetgrass. You've got everything going for you. What needs to happen on the south side is bringing some business over here to support the citizens that do such a good job of watching out for their area. The Southside Development Association is a good organization to get involved with because they represent the will of the people. That's what Emily brings to the table. I want to know and represent the will of the people. Listening to your opinions matters to me, and that weighs heavy because I treat you like the true bosses of Laramie County, the taxpayers. A lot of times when I was not a county commissioner, I told myself, I can listen better to myself than they're listening to me. So it's very important in public meetings to me that you continue to get involved in local government, come, express your views, and most of the time it follows the Constitution and principle. That's the way I will vote. I believed in open meetings back there. I do now today. Protecting mom and pop businesses in 2012, I showed that very strongly. I was against UDC code regulations. We went to every planning meeting there was to try to stop Plan Cheyenne and the UDC codes from intruding on private business and private property. I won't be a salesman for 6% projects in 2012. I said, there's no difference today. But if you pass them as taxpayers, I think we should get the most bang for our buck if they're passed, and that is getting 2 contracts on everything we do and awarding local contractors when we can. Very important. You know, we worked with legislation. We were against the 10 cents a gallon tax. Not only just saying I was against it, I was up lobbying against it. We need to find ways to cut spending, and government sometimes gets out of control with spending, and we can't even grade a road. So it's very important to work hard and protect you, the taxpayers. You know, I was often looking through the notes here. A lot of people will run that they are conservative. There's just about 3 or 4 things here. A conservative, he desires to preserve the rules of government supporting the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. I believe you can agree with me that that is a conservative. To pursue traditional morality, as this article in the Bible. I was asking somebody one time, what 4 words would you like to put on the signs? And it said, in God we trust. Our country's problems can be solved if we would just turn back to those sayings, in God we trust. I know in our oath to office, I will execute the duties of my office with fidelity. The 4 words that are missing is, in God we trust. You have to write them in nowadays. That is constitutional. To give the power back to the states, very important. It's also to keep control of local government also. It's a belief in America, acceptance, the nation is a shining city sitting on a hill, quote by Ronald Reagan, whose rightful role is the leader of the free world. This is the greatest county in the state of Wyoming. I will not apologize for that. We're the greatest country that you could ever be in. It is not only an ideal, it is the best ideal that the founding forefathers could come up with. The most important thing for a county commissioner is to protect private property rights. The founding forefathers had it right. If you own a piece of America, you will love it, and you will respect your neighbor's rights because they have them too. You know, I don't know who else is running in this. Well, I know who else is running this. I don't know all their positions, but I would appreciate you re-electing Emily Hazenauer for sure, and I will continue to represent the will of the people.
Hi, I'm Chris Lamas. Thank you for having me. We've done this before, all of us have. And the last time we did this, I felt like saying this, so I'm going to say it again here. Ditto. We're basically saying the same thing. What do you do about us all saying the same thing? There are several things you can do. Number 1, you can choose the person who you feel you can talk to and go to. I think that matters a lot. I'm running simply because there's an open position. when you're up against incumbents, it's very hard to get elected. Diane is retiring and giving up her seat. I was on her first campaign committee. I've also been on campaign committees for several people sitting at this table. I've had practice in politics and campaigning. You are sitting on our old bull pasture. As many of you are aware, the land for the college was donated by my family. I care about this place. I care about Laramie County. I care about the citizens. I care about the businesses. I care about the nonprofits. I care about the roads, the bridges, the maintenance, the whole deal. I bring to you experience from fundraising for nonprofits. I was part of the capital campaign for the animal shelter, the Old West Museum. I've worked a lot on those projects. 4-H. I have been employed by the building department at the City of Cheyenne. I wrote building permits under the old UBC. I want to assure you the old UBC was much better than what's going on now. I serve on the Board of Trustees out here at Laramie County Community College. I've been through budget cycles because of this. It's a biggie, folks. If you've never been on a big board and prepared a large budget, it's complicated and time-consuming. I've done it. So it's hard to be extemporaneous and do this. I will leave you with this. I would appreciate your consideration. I'll do the best job I can for you if elected.
I guess I have a question. Is it just coincidence that we have candidate forums in a place that used to be covered with bull excrement?
Yeah.
First off, I would like to thank South Cheyenne Community Development Association, not just for having the forum tonight, but for everything that you have done and continue to do for South Cheyenne. Crucial, the work that you guys do. I am Troy Thompson. I'm running for re-election for Laramie County Commissioner. I'm married to Beth McNamee from Pine Bluffs. Together we've got 8 kids between the two of us, 5 of which are still in the house. It's not funny. I am a veterinarian and I'm a youth football coach. My family moved to Laramie County when I was 10 years old. I've been a resident here ever since. I graduated from Seton Catholic High School back in 1989. At that point I went east to Cornell University, got my degree in animal science, had a chance to play football at Cornell. Marvelous experience back there. Took my degree in animal science out west, went to Washington State University, got my doctorate of veterinary medicine. That was in 1997. Was very lucky and blessed, I guess, at that time to have the ability to come back to Laramie County. And I worked for Gene Cotton at Avenues Pet Clinic and did that for a couple years, and then I purchased Tri-State Veterinary Clinic. That was 1999. I have been a practicing veterinarian and a small business owner ever since. 4 years ago, we sat in this room, and I asked for your support. I asked for your support. I was a new, naive politician. I asked for your support based solely on my ideas and my thoughts for Laramie County, where Laramie County could go. And tonight I'm asking for that support again. And I got your support last time, and I will tell you what a humbling experience and tremendous opportunity it has been to represent you in Laramie County. But I am asking for that support in my re-election again tonight. And this time I'm not asking for that support based on ideas and thoughts. I'm asking for your support based on my experience. With Diane Humphrey choosing to not run for re-election, that makes me the longest tenured commissioner, makes me the commissioner with the most institutional and historical knowledge of Laramie County. I'm also asking for your support based on my voting record. And I would urge you to look at our voting records. And I think if you look at our voting records, you will see that I'm the candidate that doesn't just talk about supporting the small businessman. I consistently vote in favor of the small businessman. The small businessman, that's the backbone of our economy, the backbone of our community. I am a small businessman. I have been for 15 years. I understand the struggles. And I also understand that we need to keep government out of the way of the small businessman. I think if you look at my voting record, you will see that I'm not a candidate that just talks about economic development, that I consistently vote in favor of economic development. You know, I've said it before, and I firmly believe that a community cannot remain stagnant. It's moving. It's either moving forward or it's moving backwards. And I say Laramie County needs to move forward. And how do we do that? We do that with economic development by bringing good, high-quality jobs to our community. And how does the commission specifically do that? We're involved with Cheyenne Leads. We're involved with the Chamber of Commerce. We take advantage of the things that are made available to us through the Wyoming Business Council. And again, we bring those high-paying jobs to our county. Lastly, I think if you look at our voting record, if you look at my voting record, you will see I'm a candidate that doesn't just talk about private property rights. I have consistently voted in favor of private property rights. Everybody in this room understands the significance of private property rights. Make no mistake, on August 19th, 2 weeks from today, we have a very important decision to make. And it was brought up earlier how many exciting things we've got going on in Laramie County. We've got the Swan Ranch Industrial Park. We've got the North Range Business Park. We've got a supercomputer in Laramie County. We've got Microsoft, who's expanding and investing millions and millions and millions of dollars in our community. We have got Laramie County's own Archer complex that we're developing. When you think of all these wonderful things that are going on in Laramie County, it becomes evident that we need commissioners that are willing to do the research, do their homework, and make critical decisions. Think critically about the things they're voting for, and then make the appropriate decisions. I would urge you before you vote on August 19th to please look at our education, look at our experience, and look at our voting records, and choose the candidates that are best suited to lead Laramie County forward in this very exciting future that we've got. My name is Troy Thompson. I'm asking for your support, and with your support, I will continue to be the commissioner that makes intelligent, rational decisions based on honest family values. I appreciate you being here tonight, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
I appreciate Troy starting to hand me the microphone, but I think if I held it, you'd all see it shaking. So I want to thank everybody for being here and thank all of those who have put this on tonight. I said this down in Pine Bluffs a couple of weeks ago. Through 30 years of military and 30 years of police work, I did some exciting things. None of them scares me more than just sitting here talking to y'all, all right? So I've got notes so I don't forget. I'll give you a little bit of my background. I was born and raised in Pine Bluffs. My last semester in senior year, I made the mistake of reading Battle Cry, and 2 months later I was in the Marine Corps. Spent 13 years there and decided to come back to God's country. So I came back here and became a Cheyenne police officer. I was an officer for 30 years. My last 13 years, I was a school resource officer at Cary, which greatest job ever. Then I was a sheriff's deputy for just 3 years and decided I was going to go a little easier. And now I just run a mowing crew for the Laramie County School District with some teenage kids working for me, and it's great. During the time I was back here, I've also continued my military career. I retired with 30 years there. Like I said, I'm supposed to be retired, but not quite. I've said since I started this campaign that I'm not a politician, I'm just a citizen. So what qualifies me to be a county commissioner? An elected official is a public servant. Well, as I've just explained, I've got 33 years of public service. People elect the individuals to be leaders. I've been in leadership since I was in high school and all the way through the military as well as the police department. I've been in charge of as few as 4 or 5 and as many as 200 when I was in the military. County commissioners have to make decisions, sometimes quickly and easily, sometimes with a lot of study and research. As a police officer, I had to make decisions under all kinds of circumstances. And in addition, all my jobs have required continuing education. So I have seen some of the work these guys have to do, the study they have to put in, a lot more than what you see. I've been a citizen of Laramie County, and I'm seeking to serve the county. Many issues coming our way in the future, new jobs, new businesses, keeping old jobs here so our kids have places to work once they complete their educations. old roads in need of repair, and keeping a balanced budget while we do it. Every issue needs to be addressed in an open, common sense way. Leaders need to listen to people they represent and to each other. I think that's very important, listening to each other, without bringing any personal or outside agendas to the table. My priority would be an office with an open door policy in a streamlined manner in which people can be made aware of how their government runs. I want to encourage any and all citizens to know they have a voice in how this county is ran. One of the biggest lessons I've learned from the time I decided to run for county commissioner is it is not an easy process. It's not an easy way to find out what's going on. After I threw my hat in the ring and said, yeah, I want to be a commissioner, it was, what does a commissioner do for sure? And it's hard to find out, and it takes a lot of work. I think the open policy and keeping people informed is important, and the idea has to be carried through to businesses old and new. People of Laramie County want growth, and their leaders have to concentrate on being open, honest, and accessible. We have to make new businesses want to become a part of our community and old businesses to grow. We also need a better way to deal with the turnover of personnel. When you train somebody, when you have people working for you, it's important to keep them. It's expensive in time and money to lose them. We have to keep them, and a lot of times they leave for a better paying job. But at the same time, if we make it a good place to work, we treat them with respect, with dignity, we'll keep them. And it's very important to keep these people here. Right now, I wished I could say that I'll have the resolution to any and all issues that come up, but I know I'm not going to. We all know that's just not going to happen, but one lesson I learned from my parents when I was growing up is don't ever make a promise that you can't keep. So the only promise I'm going to make is that I'll give you 100% of my effort 100% of the time. Thank you.
It's to me already. Good evening, I'm Kurt Wilson, and I appreciate the opportunity to come in and visit with you tonight. I work for Laramie County. I've worked for the Sheriff's Department for 23 years. That's where I still work. As a deputy sheriff. I currently work out in School District Number 2, which is what we call our East Division. And for the most part out there, I work by myself the beginning part of the week. And when I was 17, I joined the Army National Guard. I served in the National Guard continuously until I had 23 years, which time I decided to retire. My wife is also in the Air National Guard here in Cheyenne. It's really complicated when you have two members in the military. So I went ahead and retired, and after 23 years. During my 23 years in the Army National Guard, I was most of the time a combat engineer. What engineers do in the Army build roads, or that's what I did for 18 years. So a lot of my experience lies in roads. I know how to build roads. I've built a lot of them around the United States and in Iraq. I did spend 1 year in combat in Iraq as a platoon sergeant for the 133rd Engineer Company out of Laramie. I am married. I have 4 children. They all live right here in Laramie County. I am not a native, but I've been here for 25 years. It's where I've chosen to make my life, and I have no plans on moving. So I decided to become a county commissioner. For the last 23 years, I've heard lots of things about what's going on, the money this, money that. And we never really knew exactly what was going on. When you're down in the trenches, sometimes you get an attitude about what they're doing in the commission or at the sheriff or any of the other departments in the county. And I've decided that instead of sitting down there and complaining about it, I'm going to figure out what's going on, be part of the solution. I, in the Army Guard, went through the ranks. I enlisted as a private went through officer candidate school, and retired as a lieutenant. I have tons of leadership schools through the military. The last 16 years, I've been a resident deputy out in eastern Laramie County, most of which I've worked with very little supervision. I'm not easily intimidated. Can make decisions, no problem. I feel that we need 5 commissioners that can work together during this very exciting time in Laramie County. We have lots going on with the oil field development and, you know, with our roads, our property. We need to protect that. We have a lot of private roads in Laramie County. I feel it's our job as commissioners to make sure that that property is protected. Who else is going to do it? Are the oil companies going to come in and pay to fix that, or to tell us that they'll take care of it if we don't ask? Probably not. They're out to make money. So we need somebody in there to take care of that. I grew up on a farm and ranch. I have an ag background. My folks still farm back in Nebraska, and I've lived out in eastern Laramie County my entire time that I've lived here. Like I said, the agriculture is really where I'm at. And the employees, I've seen a lot of good people come and go. And working by myself out there, it's kind of spooky. I'd like to really have some of this experience stay. I'd love to retire, but it's hard to leave and leave inexperienced people. The Laramie County Fair is a big thing. I think that we need to figure that out and get that consolidated. I think our children deserve it. Road maintenance. With the oil industry going on, we have lots and lots of truck traffic going on. We need to stay on that and make sure that everything continues to be taken care of. I do support the 6th penny because it seems like everybody else does, but we need somebody in the commission, or all of the commissioners, to make sure that that 6th penny doesn't become mandatory, or that we need it like the 5th penny. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Art Hansen, and thank you for coming out, and thank you for having us here. I'd like to start out with, this isn't about me, this is about you. I'm a citizen of Laramie County, grew up here, I'll give you a history on it. But you're the people, South Side, I grew up on South Side, lived right over here on Allison, and right down here on College, actually, on the corner. But this is really an important time. I think you've heard from all the candidates, all the different issues, all the variables that's happening in Laramie County. And the next election, this next 2 years, is very, very important. And we need to have the right people in the position to be able to, the right group of commissioners, I should say, all that will work together effectively to help both the South Side, the city of Cheyenne, and Laramie County as a whole. I currently live out in the county. You know, looking at my background, just so that for those of you that don't know me, I know there's a few clients out there that have known me forever, but grew up just south of here in Pierce, Colorado on a dairy farm, and we had the ranch, which is the Bellboard Raising Association, the city owns now out west. During the school year, I lived in town with my family, and that's when I ended up on Allison, on Jefferson, and here on College Drive, right down here on the corner. But at age 20, I started a career in the investment and insurance industry, and I worked 25 years for Prudential. 18 of it was a leader for the state of Wyoming, managing all the offices in the state of Wyoming. I retired in 2005. I thought I was just going to raise my horses and enjoy life, and Bank of the West asked me to come over there and help them with their banks here locally. Within 3 months, they asked me to take over the state of Wyoming as their senior vice president. They gave me the state of Nebraska, then the state of Kansas. Wanted to give me the state of Oklahoma and Arizona, and that's when I retired again. And was retired for about a year when I really got interested in my own life and doing what's right for the county of Laramie, more importantly, the eastern part of the county. I was really involved in a lot of different projects, and then that's when the county commissioner position came available 2 years ago. So I got involved. I spent 9 months, much as Linda has done for the last 2 years. There's attending every meeting, getting involved, learning a lot from Troy,
learning from all the other commissioners what was necessary. Spent a great deal of time and money investing in becoming a county commissioner. Or at that point, the focus was becoming a county commissioner. We went through the election. One of the things that I take pride in is, as a leader, I've always brought together groups of people. I'll help them find ways to improve efficiency, to increase productivity, and that's why I was as successful as I was over the last 25 years with 3 different corporations, and you can check them in the track record. Never had a falter. Always had a better year each year thereafter, and that's where I believe as a leader I can be very effective in working with the commission. I think Troy will agree, and he has told me, that being a commissioner, you're a facilitator, it's oversight. We have all the different departments, they have their own operating policies and procedures. It's our job to oversee them, to make sure that they continue to stay within the rules and regulations. And that takes leadership. That takes people that have the skill and the knowledge, the people skills, to be able to work with that diverse group of people. I've worked with people from 5 to 500 employees that I've had over my lifetime. So that was one of the areas that I've always been strong at, is bringing people together, or learning how to do things more efficient, to increase productivity, and thereby grow and become a better organization as a result. Currently, I've purchased Wyoming Financial, which is an insurance agency. It's the largest independent insurance agency in the state of Wyoming, and have taken that to a higher level than it's ever been over the last year and a half. The main thing I want to get across to all of you, this is about you. This is about you individually, what's important to you, and what's really important, I believe, all of us, you and I, need to look at is not choosing me, not choosing an individual here, but choosing 3 individuals off of this table that will work with the existing 2 individuals that are currently county commissioners. I also make a solid statement every time we get together at one of these things. Troy by far has the knowledge and skill to run our commission, and without him, if we could end up this fall with 5 new commissioners, and you're going to be spending about $500,000 in wages, salaries, and benefits for somebody to learn how to do a job. So look for 3 individuals that you believe that can work together with the 2 existing ones, and select those 3. That's all I'm asking of you.
Hello, I'm Charles Eggert. I've always worked in the private sector. I've never been a government employee, and I really don't want to be. But the reason I'm running is because there's a lot of things in this county that I think are wrong. I gave all of you, I think, y'all got one of these. This is what I think. I'm all about property rights, personal rights, limited government, reduced spending. There's a lot of waste in this county. If you were to operate the county like your house, they'd watch things a little bit better, don't you think? Fair property assessment, that really gets me. Our property's assessed not at fair market value that's supposed to be, but at replacement cost, and I don't think that's right. I don't think it's fair. I don't think our vehicle fees should be so high. They vary from one vehicle to another. I know it's all about they want to get more revenue, but I don't think that's right. I am just a regular guy. I'm a technician, a mechanic, a machinist, and a welder. And I live on the south side. I'm on the South Cheyenne Community Development Board. I threw my hat in to help Emily get some sense back on the commission. There's people spending money. We're being asked to sign up for this Plan Cheyenne, which affects the entire county, no matter what some people tell you. And there's unfunded mandates. This thing is a monster. You think Obamacare's bad, you should look at some of the books on this thing. Okay? I don't like those smart meters. They have problems with them. They're not UL listed around the country. There's many counties who ban them because they cause fires. They emit microwave radiation. There's a host of different things. And also one friend of mine said, if you just want to have courteous government workers, I'll vote for you. So I agree with that, because a lot of times you go in there and people treat you like you're a dog and they want to kick you. I don't like that. They're our public servants. That's what they're supposed to be. Okay? I've had a couple different businesses. I've made a lot of money. I'm not from here. I've lived here for the last 10 years. I lived here once before for 2.5 years. I choose to live here. I love it here. I meet a lot of nice people here. But in my opinion, this county needs some more conservative direction. And I don't agree with a lot of these people that are on the county commission now. I've been to a lot of commission meetings. I haven't been to every one. I got things to do. But I just ask, if you want me to fight for your property rights, and I don't take stuff from anybody, I'll fight them. And that's who I am and what I do.
We got all the microphones.
Okay.
Take two. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Here we go.
You know, I'd like to thank Lauren Southside Cheyenne Community Development Association for the opportunity to participate tonight. My name is Rick Kessler, and I'm a candidate for a spot on the county commission. You know, my family's lived in Laramie County for over a century, and I'm also a lifelong resident. And I too grew up on the south side. I went to Goins Elementary School, Johnson Junior High School, and then I went to Central High School. And I don't want to give my age away, but none of those schools were the new ones. So. I'm retired from the Wyoming Department of Transportation, where I manage their outdoor advertising and specific service programs. I've been actively involved in the community for many years through my work with Cheyenne Frontier Days, where I was the chairman of the board of directors, and I recently completed a term with Visit Cheyenne, also as the chairman of the board. You know, I believe that Laramie County is on the verge of some exciting times, but we do face some challenges. But I believe that if we as county commissioners work with the cities and the towns of Pine Bluffs and Alvin and Burns, as well as the residents of the county, we can meet those challenges head on. You know, I won't stand here and tell you that I have all the answers, because I don't, but I will tell you that if I don't know an answer, I'll do everything I can to find the answer. So I'm for Laramie County, from Laramie County, and for Laramie County, and I'm ready to go to work for you as one of your county commissioners. Thank you.
Candidates. We are going to begin with the questions, and we've had a lot of really good questions submitted. One of the things I forgot to mention, I think maybe Laura did, is that I think it's working. One of the things I forgot to mention is that we're going to try to combine the questions where possible. There's a lot of themes going on through here
That I think as you see will go along. So if you don't hear your exact question, it's probably because they combined it. I'm also going to try to give everyone an opportunity to ask questions. So if you've asked multiple questions, we're going to rotate through and maybe come back to one of the other ones you had presented if we have time. But begin with, I should say, I've also been going to a lot of these county commissioner meetings, so I know some of the questions you guys are asked. I'm going to begin with the question that I would call the question that I see most asked at the county commissioners meetings, and that is, what is your thought on traffic circles, double crossover lanes like on I-25 North College, bicycle lanes, and limited access on the highways? I can repeat that if you like, but we're going to start with you, Mr. Woods.
By traffic circles, we're talking roundabouts?
Roundabouts, yes.
You know, I think that it's hard for me, because I actually own a business right now that is at the very center of the roundabout Commerce and Pershing. They kind of shut my business down for about 4.5 months, and it was very tough for us to survive that. We're actually still trying to come back. Barring that, I'm actually kind of finding myself enjoying the roundabout now. I'm finding myself able to get through it faster. I don't like the idea of putting a roundabout in where we're going to take property from people, though, and that's exactly what they did at our place. The city came in, they took some of our property. The roundabout they're looking at doing over here on Avenue C, Fox Farm, they're looking at taking somebody's property. They're going to run the road right up next to the house there, and I'm not down with that at all. That was not a good idea. That particular roundabout doesn't seem like it'll work well. We've got a lot of truck traffic coming along there. That's just not, that's not good planning, that's not good planning. So as far as the roundabouts go, you know, some of them I was okay with, some of them I'm really not. I guess it's case-by-case basis. Bike paths, bike lanes, I got a minute left, and it's going to take me 20 minutes to answer this, but the reality is that we're not Fort Collins, we're not Boulder, we're not a college town. We've got people here that drive pickups, they drive trucks, they drive cars, we drive motorcycles. But we don't have the weather for the bicycles. So devoting all of this money to bike lanes when we have 52 miles of greenway that have already been bought, paid for, I think it's just beyond belief. I do not recommend bike lanes. I don't like bike lanes. I think we've already taken care of our citizens as best as we can where we're at right now. Thank you.
Well, I do a lot of traffic studies with the school district, and I am the one who put the first roundabout in, and it was up at South High School. I think once people learn how to drive them, I think there isn't an issue. It is proven that there are the same amount of accidents, but the accidents are less severe, and that's what we're looking for. There are no T-bone crashes in a roundabout. So I kind of agree with roundabouts. I don't agree with what Mr. Woods had gone through and losing his property and things that took place there. I definitely don't agree with that. As far as the bike lanes go, I think we all need to learn how to share the road. I think it's for everyone. Everybody pays the same amount of taxes. Everybody pays the same amount of use. I mean, other than that, I put in turn lanes, I put in whole roads, I put in greenway, and I put in sidewalks. And all of it is which is used and all of it is which is paid for by everyone in this room. I think everybody should have ample opportunity to use those. Thank you.
Roundabouts, bike lanes, double reverse diamonds are all solutions that YDOT has put out there for moving traffic, and that's their job. As a county commissioner, you are to be aware of public safety, you are to be aware of health for your community. You know, maybe you don't agree with the roundabout, maybe you think that a four-way stop would be better, maybe you think reverse diamond's great, but everybody has their own opinion. What we need to look at as county commissioners is what best fits our community, what best fits our county. And we have to look at both sides. We have to look at all the options and then choose what works best for us.
Roundabouts, I like going straight, getting somewhere. I don't like going around in circles. But the big issue with roundabouts, if they're big enough and they're in the right spot, they're not so bad. The bad thing about roundabouts is federal funding and the money it takes to build them. Somebody asked me the question on Vandehei, what should be the centerpiece on the roundabout? I said put an IRS agent there, taking out $20 to $40 every time you go through it. It's the cost of these roundabouts. It is not friendly to the public trying to cross a roundabout on foot traffic. Roundabouts are part of a plan. I'd hate to ever see, most of these roundabouts are in the city. What if they made an ordinance that said, no trucks through roundabouts? That would hurt commerce, wouldn't it? On Avenue C, they were talking about Holly Frontier trucks not going through there. They were talking about hindering a business, small business that sells trailers over there. And they were putting it 2 feet the sidewalk away from private property owner. I will stand between that and what they're trying to do if it means me standing up for my constituents and private property rights. Thank you.
I agree with what Mark Woods said. It snows here, we don't need bike paths. Some of the roundabouts are worthy. The one the state did up on Vandehei is working. It's working. And folks, they saved money by doing that project. I work in the department at YDOT that designed that one and that designed the diverging diamond. I am telling you, the state is money conscious. They put those two things in instead of new overpasses, which cost a bundle, and we don't have that money now. The diverging diamond is working. We're out there doing counts constantly. The safety has improved out there, and traffic is moving. I agree with Emily on the one on the south side. Over here at Maury, oh my gosh, it's got so many problems. I would absolutely not support that one, and any others on a case-by-case business. faces, I'm sorry.
I think health, safety, and welfare are the priorities of any government official. And I think when you look at traffic flows, when you look at what the engineers come up with, those are folks that are a lot smarter to me than I am. And if they tell me that roundabouts are going to get traffic through faster and safer, then I will believe them. And I will tell you that's what I've witnessed at the corner of Converse, Pershing, and 19th Street. And I like driving through that roundabout. I absolutely do. I didn't at first, but I've gotten used to it. And I do think that it makes traffic move faster. As far as the roundabout on Fox Farm and Avenue C, we had a lot of conversations with the folks at the refinery, and I got to tell you, if you try to hamper business, then I will be opposed to that. And that's exactly the conversation we had. And again, that was just a plan moving forward. That wasn't the actual construction of the roundabout. But we all spoke against that roundabout because of the adverse effect on business. I hate to bring up a Mythbusters episode, but they did prove that they're a lot faster than four-way stops. As far as bike lanes, I'm an avid bicyclist, and I love being out on my bicycle. And I don't know that that necessarily means that we have to put in bike lanes, but I will tell you, on county roads, I would like to have shoulders, because there's enough people in our county that ride bicycles that I think it's important for them to be safe. Because I got to tell you, if it's one person that gets hit by a car because we didn't have a suitable shoulder for them to drive on, that's too many. So yes, we absolutely have to always worry about cost, but I would ask you, what's the cost of one life compared to the width of shoulder on a road?
Well, speaking from a former law enforcement point of view, the circle prevents the guy who waits and waits and then goes through the red light because he doesn't see anybody and there's a collision. Or we have to write him a ticket. So the roundabouts do move traffic. They do. I don't agree with taking people's property to do them. I'm the first to say that. But roundabouts they're nerve-wracking when you start. And believe you me, when you're sitting in the passenger seat of an 18-year-old driver or 17-year-old driver who's driving a Suburban and a trailer for the first time through a roundabout, it's nerve-wracking. So, but they do move it. Bicycles, I'm going to be honest, I've been on motorcycles for virtually all my life. I know what it's like to share the road, and I know what happens when a four-wheel vehicle decides he likes your lane more than you do. I don't think we need bicycle lanes. You have to ride heads up and pay attention, and the others have to look for you. Like that sign out there on I-25 now, look twice, save a life. That's just something you have to do. We are getting more bicycles. I see them as we come into work every day. I don't know why anybody would want to pedal a bike. Sorry about that. But I'd rather have a motor. So, thank you.
I'm not a big fan of roundabouts. They are pretty confusing to us country folk that live out in the hinterlands, but I am getting used to it and warming up to them. Last night, a very good friend of mine was running to a call. He had his lights and sirens on and was T-boned in an intersection downtown Cheyenne. Thank God nobody got killed in a conventional intersection. So had he been going through a roundabout, as they said, there would not have been a T-bone. And he was at work at 4 o'clock this afternoon. The reverse diamond, is that what they call it? I'm not a big fan of that either. But I'm all about safety. That's what I've been doing my entire life, is supporting safety. And my time in the Army National Guard was as an engineer. I love engineering. I love to see what they come up with next, and to give it a shot. And it seems to be working. I listen to the radio all the time. I get to listen to the city police, the highway patrol. There doesn't seem to be a lot of calls in these areas, or as many as we have at our T intersections. So we'll give it a shot. It's all about safety. keeping that in mind, I'm not an avid bicyclist. I don't think we, at this time, should spend a lot of money on bicycle lanes on our existing roads. We do have the greenway that was put in, and that lots of room there to ride. I think we have other issues right now that can be better for our money to be spent on. Thank you.
The key is health and safety. When you look at the statistics, when you're talking about bike paths, you're talking about circles, as if you watched any of the programs, you'll find that it saves lives. I'm currently involved in 3 deaths of bicyclists that were hit rear-ended by individuals on highways. They weren't on the highway. It was an asphalt outside, and people just went to sleep, or people were intoxicated. Accidents happen on highways. I'm a firm believer in all 3, that all 3 can help, but I think each one has to be decided upon the location, whether it be a county road, whether it be a city street. I know I have a daughter and I have a granddaughter that ride bikes through town Cheyenne all the time, and I worry about that. But at the same time, I'm not an advocate of going out and taking up 6 to 8 square or linear feet of an existing road that's not going to get any wider just to cramp 2 cars and make a bicycle path at the crowded issue and cause another life to go by. So each one has to be reviewed. That's why you have 5 commissioners, and I think every individual up here cares about a life, and they would make the right decision as to whether it's over here on College Drive or any other place that we decide to put a circle in, or we decide to put a bike path in. I don't think anybody has an agenda just to put bike paths in just so that they can ride their own personal bike. It's based on statistic and analysis as to where it should be placed. And when it comes to property owner rights, this is a big issue with me. We've got to work together as citizens. If it's beneficial to your neighbors, to your neighbors' children, to actually put a circle in someplace, is there a way that they can compensate you for taking up a little bit of your space to make the safety better for the benefit of all? Those are things they have to work together with, and that's why we need commissioners that will all work together.
As far as the roundabouts, in Europe they have a lot of them. Usually they're very large. I mean, like 3/8 of a mile diameter, across. The bigger ones work great. The one over there at Converse, it's like Keystone Cops every time I go through there. I'm always trying to dodge somebody. I mean, I'm used to it. It does flow traffic quite a bit. It's just that people have their cell phones on, they're watching TV or whatever, their car dash. They don't pay attention. And they work at some places, the Fox Farm one and Maury Avenue, I was against that, I spoke against that. I don't like taking people's property for any reason. I'm sorry, it's their property. Your property is your property. My property is my property. Okay, that's just how I am. Unless the people want to give it up for a reason, that's fine. As far as the reverse diamond, it works great. I've been over there many times going to Denver, and it's crazy before, but once you get used to it, the thing works great. The traffic flow is fantastic. I applaud the person who thought about it. It's great. Bicycle lanes, I'm against them. I've been riding bicycles since I was 4 years old. I know how to watch out for cars. I was a professional paper boy for 5 years when I was a kid. Never got hit because I watch where I'm going. I don't think, I don't know, I'm sorry, the gentleman down the way, bikes, we all pay for the roads. Bikes don't pay road tax, okay? They don't pay fuel tax, tire tax, or anything like that. They're not paying. Unless they want to pay a permit and help pay just like cars and trucks, okay. But if we got to pay for them, I don't agree with it.
I think that anyone who ever had to sit through a cycle of lights on Pershing and Converse and 19th appreciate the roundabout there now. It's much easier to get through. I think the thing about that and the Diverging Diamond is that they're new. People don't know anything about them. You never had to drive through them. So you were apprehensive. But once you go through it a few times, I think they're great. The Diverging Diamond, on College Drive is good because it eliminates all your left turn conflicts. So, and anyone who had to sit through trying to get through a string of semis to get onto college can understand that. The bike lanes, I have mixed emotions. I think they'd be good if it's new construction and the bike lane is part of that design but to try to squeeze bike lanes into existing roadways, I'm not sure is a good idea. I've yet to see anyone ride a bicycle down the bike lane on Yellowstone, so I think that's about it.
Thank you, candidates. And I again forgot to mention, if we could hold the applause until the end, we can get through these questions a little bit faster. We're starting with you this time, Mr. Kupek. And this is a question that I haven't heard asked before, so I can repeat it if necessary. But as commissioner, how would you handle neighbor conflicts regarding multiple ways of necessity? Right. And okay, as a commissioner, how would you handle neighbor conflicts regarding multiple ways of necessity? I assume this is regarding private land where somebody's landlocked and they need a road. And so you're going to have to potentially make a decision whether or not you're going to grant access across somebody's land to that landlocked position.
Well, I guess first of all, we have to bring everybody to the table and all the parties that are involved. Everybody's got to learn to play nice in the sandbox. If the tables were reversed and the gentleman who was trying, or the party was trying to get access to their property, and one was holding it up for some reason and didn't want to have the easements, which is why we need zoning to begin with, but I think we'd have to get everybody, and everybody would have to play nice in the sandbox. We'd have to come to some type of resolution. There would probably have to be some compensation, but to hold one person from hostage, from accessing his property, is kind of ludicrous. I mean, I can't understand. I mean, if the tables were reversed, the other person won't want that done to themselves either. I mean, it's kind of a nonsensical question.
Now, this is a question we haven't heard before. As far as access to private property, if you have to go through somebody else's property to reach yours, you should be able to do that. And there again, sit down at the table, talk it out, work it out, and come to an amenable agreement.
Well, first you'd get a hold of Road and Bridge, and you'd get a hold of planning and figure out what kind of development was it that they wouldn't have access to a piece of property. Usually this happens when there's a road that's dedicated, and if you look in the books, it's there. Or if it's not there, it's because somebody sold a piece of property and didn't figure anybody was going to live on that particular property. So it'd go through planning. It would go through Road and Bridge. Don Beard's very well knowledgeable about what roads are where. There's a map out there that shows you which ones are dedicated and not. But again, it is protection of private property, but those people that want access to that land would have to make it, a drivable road if they're going to build on it. They'd go through planning and the process.
I agree with Emily. I don't know in today's world how that would, maybe Linda said that, how that would really occur. But I do know many years ago when the Wyoming Hereford Ranch sold for the first time, there were some parcels that were sold to the original owners, and then the parties changed hands. And the party that was landlocked was not liked by the party who had allowed access in the first place. As I recall, they were allowed access on a utility easement. I'm telling you folks, these access problems can be very difficult and people can get tied up in court on these things. I would hope people would be reasonable and work together, but I want to caution you by saying they don't have to, and the courts may end up settling some of these issues.
Everybody has heard of the Hatfields and McCoys. For me, my time in commission when it comes to private road issues will be the Carnahans and the Lewises. There was an issue out in western Laramie County, and for some reason there was some problem with the survey, and a road easement went through the living room of a house. And these folks fought for 12 years trying to get this dispute. And I got to tell you, it's always a good idea to bring everybody together, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And it did not work with the Carnahans and the Lewises. 12 years, went to the county made a decision that was appealed to the district court, that was appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, of all things, sent it back to the doggone county commissioners. It was an absolute debacle, cost these folks many thousands of dollars. And luckily, our legislature, in their wisdom, last year actually took private road issues out of the hands of the commissioners. And I actually went and lobbied the legislature, because you've got a veterinarian, and you've got a dairy farmer, and you've got Gay Woodhouse, who was an attorney. Thank God we had her. But you don't want a veterinarian making those types of legal decisions. You don't want a dairy farmer making those types of legal decisions. So the fact that the legislature took it out of the county commissioner's hand and put it directly to the district court, I think was a very wise thing, because these are very real issues, and that's a very good question. I will never forget that. 12 years, and the amount of money that the Carnahans and the Lewises spent on that was truly remarkable. So thank goodness the road issues are out of the county commissioner's hands, and now they go straight to the district court.
I've only been in that situation once, and it was just a very simple sitting down and working out a deal. I would have hated to have been in that position, especially where it's going through my living room. It'd be really bad to make an arch that big through the house. So the thing of it is, though, it boils down to you can sit down and you can work it out peacefully and have a hand in what's going on, or you can dig your heels in and let the court settle it, and it may not be near as friendly to you as it would be just sitting down and talking it over. It is a rough program, and I'm really into, my property's my property, but working it out is by far the best way to solve that issue. Keep the court out of it.
Conflict resolution. Unfortunately, being a resident deputy, or that's not unfortunate, but the unfortunate part is I've dealt with this very thing many times. And you go in there as a deputy sheriff enforcing state statute, and this person's very upset because they can't get to their property. What do you do? What do you say? I enforce state statute. If the statute doesn't say anything, then neither can I. So it comes down to conflict resolution, making sure that everybody gets along and we don't have any violence or hard feelings as much as possible. The court system, I've been dealing with the court system for the last 23 years. I think our system is the best in the world, but anybody that's dealt with the courts knows that it's not a speedy process. And I think in this situation, and I'm sure there's more out there, because I just dealt this year with this exact thing. That we just need to make sure that everybody gets along and then we get it figured out until the court process takes care of the situation.
Well, I think Troy said it, it's out of the hands of the commissioners. However, you've got working together with the individuals and facilitating two individuals that are on opposing sides to work together so that they don't waste a lot of money going through the court system is something we as public servants need to be doing. And so trying to facilitate an agreement between two individuals before it goes on would be something that I think the commission would work towards. And if it didn't, then it wouldn't be our ultimate decision, and it'd be at the expense of our neighbors. So.
In 1992, my wife and I purchased our first property here in Laramie County, out in Carpenter. And little did we know that the people who sold it to us, it was advertised as the house with a shop, 3 acres. The shop was on a to-be-vacated road that they didn't tell us about, non-disclosure. It was the neighbors we bought it from. From what I understand, when we first moved here, what I was told was that it was against the law in the state of Wyoming to sell a landlocked piece of property. So what I found out is you need to do your due diligence. If you're going to purchase property, you have to do your due diligence to make sure what easements are there or what isn't there. Okay? It goes back to property rights. If someone owns something, they own it. There's a place right over where we live now where the house is basically landlocked theoretically, but there is an access alley back to where they can get to. So I'm not sure how they do it, but Like I said, we are a land of laws and we're a republic, and the people, it's buyer beware. So do your due diligence, and otherwise you have to fight it out in court. That's my experience.
I'd like to thank Troy for answering that question so nicely and taking the pressure off the rest of us. Because my question to the question was going to be for those of us who are in favor of less government, why would we be intruding in private property issues? So I guess that if some situation like that arises, that it would be up to the two property owners to work it out in some way, whether it's to come to some agreement by themselves or through the court system.
All right, thank you, candidates. Unfortunately, my mic has batteries again, so get me up, Mr. Mark Woods still, sorry.
That's okay. This is pretty tough going last and trying to come up with a different answer than anybody else did. So I will tell you, though, that I've got experience on this as well. I told you in the beginning of the evening that my great-great-grandparents came out here. They homesteaded a piece of property on the far western edge of Laramie County. Not a large piece, 160 acres, and as time went on, well, before I was born, other people bought properties around that. And then when I was born, I discovered that we were landlocked and we could not get in. And so we also had to go through the process with courts. We had to work together with the new buyers of the surrounding properties. And in that case, it was really not so much our fault. We had the land since, the late 1800s, and other people came and bought around it. But in agreement with down at the end of the table, that there was a responsibility that maybe we had to obtain access easements prior to the land being sold. So, I think everybody here gave the right answer, or everybody gave the wrong answer. I don't know if there is one, but thank you.
Thank you. Missy, we will begin with you. So, for yourself, this is going to be a combined question. What is your view of the quality of the current county employees, and what would be your criteria for future raises? And would you consider increased health costs as part of that raise package?
I think I understand the question. As far as the benefits are concerned in the health package, a lot of that health benefits package is determined by the insurer, which happens to be Win Health for the county. They're the ones who determine the rates, and those rates are determined by the claims that the employees make. I think you're probably looking at maybe whoever wrote this question might be looking at the Obamacare question. There's a lot of discussion as to how that's going to affect Win Health and the healthcare exchanges. It's something that I haven't really followed that closely. As far as equality of the county employees, I know that there's some additional benefits that law enforcement and public works employees, as well as fire district volunteers get, that nobody else gets because of the risk of their job. I would have to do some more investigation in this.
Employees are one of the best assets we have in Laramie County. There are some very good ones out there. And there's nobody that's going to say they're not worth a 1.5 cost of living raise. But over the last 2 years with the raises and extra employees coming along, the county is over $20 million in personnel costs. That's benefits and everything. If anybody thought Obamacare was going to lower the cost of health care, just a couple of months ago we passed estimated increase of $80,000 to the 400 and some employees that we have now. It did not lower the cost. It's an unaffordable health care that I think that's really detrimental to the country, and it sure was to our county. I'm more against a lot of this raises for elected officials that was up to 20% over the next 4 years. Employees have a value. A private sector employee right now is living on a 2008 salary. We've got to watch our spending, although we appreciate our employees and want to keep them. I'm more in favor of a merit pay, or if department head says we got a critical position we need and we need morale to move, and This will help this department do a better job, and we've had a person leave. I've been in favor of replacing that person and also giving them merit pay. So you'll read a lot that I'm against higher salaries, but look at it, the overall budget, we're closing in and went over $20 million for personnel costs. Thank you.
The healthcare issue is probably the most difficult thing we'll discuss tonight. As many of you know, I have somewhat of an advantage having a direct line to someone in Congress. And honest to gosh, when we talked to her at the House about health care in Washington, which of course is going to affect the whole nation, she doesn't know. It is going to be bad. They can't get it repealed. So all of us that are hesitant with our answers tonight are absolutely correct. The answer is we don't know. I was a county employee. I greatly value my friends still down there. And I will say that merit pay is working somewhat at the state, but let me tell you what's wrong with merit pay. If your supervisor doesn't like you, or if your supervisor doesn't like, maybe he doesn't agree with, maybe he's mad at Troy personally. Well, I'm not going to rate my employees because I'm mad at Troy for setting this up. Then you don't get a raise. So let me tell you folks, this is another can of worms that there's no easy answer to here tonight. But of course, we're all fiscal conservatives or we wouldn't be sitting up here.
Jeremiah, can I confirm the questions? I believe it was three-part. One, current view of the quality of county employees, criteria for future raises, and then health benefits as part of the overall package. Is that correct?
Would you consider the increased cost of health benefits as part of the overall package? Yes.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to talk fast because there's a lot of parts to this question. My current view of the quality of county employees, they're phenomenal. Second to none. And I've said this time and time again, they're our greatest asset. And as a small business owner, I would always argue that investing in your greatest asset is the wisest thing you can do as a company. Everybody says run government like private business. That's how I run my private business. That's how I like to run the county. It's our greatest asset. Our county employees are phenomenal. Criteria for future raises. I would like to touch base on the raises. When I took office, we had very, very tight budget, and our employees had not had a raise in 5 years. Well, 2 years ago, our budget finally started to look a little bit better. Our revenues were up. Okay, we kind of held the line, didn't hire people when we needed to. So last year, our budget looked good, our revenues are up, so we decided to give raises. Now, over the previous 5 years, they hadn't had raises. We had what's called compression, where new people are coming in at the same rate as people that had been there 5 years. So we gave raises based on longevity. So everybody got a 2 to 5% based on how long they had been there. This past year, the budget we just approved, so the 2015 budget, we looked at that again. And yes, our revenues are looking good, our property tax is up. So we decided to give a merit-based pay increase. And I am for a merit-based pay increase. Chris is 100% correct. There are issues with that. But with a merit-based pay increase, you get your raise based on job performance. And I would like to touch on the fact, everybody says, well, a 1.5% per year cost of living, 10 years, and the highest raises over the past 10 years to our county employees is 10%, 5% last year, 5% this year, or excuse me, over 7 years, 1.5 times 7 is exactly 10.5%. So that's exactly where we are. We're actually a little bit less than that. Lastly, the health benefits part of the package. We have a very good health benefit package, and I think our employees know that. I think that's one of the reasons that we have the ability to keep county employees when we can't pay them as much as private industry, because that health benefits package does count as part of their overall package.
That's right.
That was fast.
Wow.
That was real fast.
I ran out of wind listening. No, I agree. I've been a county employee. They're great people. If you think giving pay raises is expensive, you think about, and I'm going to go with the deputy because it's our line of work. It costs about $100,000 start to finish to train a deputy. From the time he says, I'm going to take your test, till the time he's on his own, able to go out and handle the issues by himself. Turnover rate of 40%. You're losing. You're better off, and I've said this before, the health benefits is one of the biggest options around, because I know people who hang on to jobs they absolutely hate because they get the health benefits. Keep the benefit package good, but above all, again, it's how you treat the people. They know they're in this county. They know we don't have the money or as much money as we'd like to have to give them. So you have to treat them with dignity and respect, give them the best you can, and make it the best environment you can to keep them.
Well, I think we have the greatest employees. I think we have a great group of people, be it in any of the departments, not just the sheriff's department. Raises, I do believe in merit work performance raises. We have people that get burnt out and they're just not doing what we pay them to do. And that's most of the time fine. They'll come around and come back. From my experience, as long as they're treated fairly. But they shouldn't get a huge raise when they're not doing their job. Those that are out there busting their behinds, well, then they should get the higher raise no matter how long they've been at Laramie County. So I wanted to cover those real quickly. I want to talk about insurance. I had to have Win Health insurance because I have a split family. I had to have insurance to cover my children of my first marriage. And that was some of the most miserable years of my life. Couldn't wait until that was over with. I have dropped that insurance and I'm on my wife's insurance through the military. The insurance we have right now is like a circus. We have to jump through hoops, we have to do all these things, or we get penalized. And it's a hefty penalty if we don't meet these requirements by the time that we're supposed to. And that's not right. That's not how we should treat our people. And I think that when it comes to this particular company, the city said it all. They dropped them.
Working with, 2 years ago when I was out running around for 9 months, I visited with almost every department, if not every department, and became friends with many of the county employees. I got to tell you, these people are working hard. Their programs are fine-tuned. They're pretty lean. I teach lean management, lean leadership, and they have a very good program, and they're working hard, and they're working for below-average salaries. Any one of those individuals can go out into the corporate world or in the state government and actually get a higher salary than what they are. Troy hit it right on the head. He knew it exactly. How I think that Amber, Troy, and the group did a great job of actually developing a plan to give these people raises in a manner that would fit in the budget and at the same time show them some recognition for the hard work that they've done. As far as the health insurance, I've been in that field for 20, 30 years now, and I've said at the end of the table, right now with Obamacare and the regulations, it has created work because now we have to hire a specialist to figure out what we're supposed to do with our own health insurance plan that we purchased thinking we know what we were doing at the time of purchase. So therefore, I think the plan that we've got right now, at least they are covered and that we are covering them. Whether we can cover the full cost of it going forward, we won't know until this all rolls out. As a specialist in the field, having 85 employees under me and having a health insurance agency, we actually utilize a specialist in Denver to be able to decipher what's going on right now. So I'm telling you, it's wait and see.
I don't know all the county employees. I've met several of them over the years. It's probably like any other business. If you ask the people who work there, there's some people they like, some people they don't like. There's always a clinker in the bunch. I don't know. As far as the healthcare, well, as far as the raise thing, most people in the private sector, at least the ones I know, have not had a raise in a long time. If nothing else, they've lost. Several big businesses, they're taking away incentive pay. They're making their employees pay more for their part of the health care where they didn't have to do that before. So if they're not taken away from you, consider it a plus. That's just my point of view. But as far as in the future, Obamacare is going to be an absolute nightmare. It already is, and it's probably going to be the downfall of our nation. That's my opinion. But like I said, everybody else, wait and see, you'll have to see. But I don't have a crystal ball, otherwise I'd play lotto.
Well, I too don't know all the county employees. I've met several of them, I've worked with a lot of them, and they've all been pleasant and seem to know their job well. I agree with the other folks. I think the pay plan for the county, now that they've got one in place and gotten the county employees up to where they need to be as far as their market, they need to continue that with a pay for performance plan. And I think the county does need to continue to monitor the surrounding states to develop that pay plan to see, that they can pay a competitive wage to our employees so that they will stay. As far as the health care, I think, that's one of the big benefits of any job. And if you can pay for the entire cost of the health care plan for your employees, that's great, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility or even unreasonable, if you have to ask the employees to pay a certain, a small part of the health care costs. It'd certainly be a lot less than if they had to go out into the private sector and find a health care plan.
Let me start with this question, last one first. Healthcare absolutely is a part of your payment package. As a small business owner, the healthcare I get, I pay for it. Nobody else pays for it, I have to pay for it. It's definitely a part of your compensation, and I can't look at that any other way. Several years ago, I was able to provide healthcare insurance to my employees. Over the past 18 months, I've had to take it away. We can't do it anymore. It's too expensive. I have the option of letting them know that I will be able to give you a paycheck and I will fight hard to continue to employ you, or I'll give you benefits and we'll just shut the doors here in 5 or 6 months. So they all opted to go with the option of having a job here in the future. As far as merit-based pay increases, I'm absolutely in favor of that. I'm not real good at blowing a lot of sunshine, so I'm going to just tell you the truth. I've been in a lot of county departments, and there are some great people there. There's no doubt about it. There's some that aren't so great either. And if you're a county employee and you hear me say that and you don't like it, I'm probably talking about you, and I apologize, but I pay my people for what they do. It's the only way that I can survive as a business owner. So I'm very much in favor of merit pay. I'm also in favor of watching the county employees do things efficiently and effectively. And I'll tell you, there is one particular department that I work with closely. Used to have one person work there, and they were able to do the work now that it takes 3 people to do. And it's not all entirely on the employees. A lot of it is the regulations and the rules that I started out talking about tonight. But there is a balance there, and we need to attain it. Thank you.
I too agree with merit raises. I work with a lot of government employees, and I do see a lot of things, and there are people who actually go above and beyond, and I think they should be rewarded for it. I think life is reward. The harder you work, the better off you are. I think with the health insurance, it's definitely a perk. I've been a self-employed person all my life until I went to work for the district, and I had to pay for my own insurance, and if we couldn't afford it, we didn't have it, and I was self-pay at the hospital. In my own livestock, I was there a lot. Anyway, it is a Pandora's box. I don't think anybody has any simple solutions for it. I don't think we're quite ready to tackle it. I think it's going to be a lot more eyes on the table to come up with a solution. I definitely don't have any simple solutions, but I do know that with the growing demand of the county, there is a demand on the county employees, and I am thankful for what Troy and the group have done to get those people raises. I definitely agree with it. It was long overdue. Cost of living, and for what they get, it isn't even a balance, but it does help.
All right, again, thank you, candidates. And Mr. Hazenauer, we will begin with you. Whether it is the need for additional courtroom space, additional space to hold inmates, or the need for additional office space for our county officials, there's been a lot of talk about the need to expand the current courthouse and detention center facilities in the county this election cycle. Of the 3 primary options being talked about expansion of the current facilities, splitting operations between the current facilities and some other location, or moving all operations to new facilities. Of these three options, which one do you endorse and why? Or is there some other alternative?
Well, everything you talk about is expensive, you know, and the sheriff's department is probably the most overcrowded right now. There's an option to build over the parking lot for more facilities there. The offices for the county commissioner, I think, are okay. Possibly the district attorney and the courts, they're always running out of room. More and more lawyers are being employed. I wouldn't be in favor of building anything brand new at this point. I think that you have to put all them projects up to the people to vote on and let the people decide them. I would be in favor of making the best use out of all the office space we can right now so the cost doesn't go on the backs of the taxpayers.
This is an issue I'm not familiar with. I worked in the county building and saw it several years ago, and I do think that there were spaces that could have been consolidated and made better use of. My problem in answering this question is I'm not there on a daily basis, and I would imagine the courts and the jail and the law enforcement are facing some issues. You know, at one time, it was considered that the Deneen building would be used. So I would have to say, if I was confronted tonight with the three, I would look at conversion of a building that's already existing downtown if it was that desperate.
I hate like heck to put one of our legislators on the spot. We have been faced in my time in office over the past 4 years, we've had a situation where we have been mandated to house the district attorney. And that happened way before I was in office. But since I've been in office, we've had to house the public defenders. And the latest thing was we have had to house the guardian ad litem. And so we're in a real bind here in the county. And luckily, the commissioners before me had the foresight to look into the Archer land, and they purchased that land, and they decided to move our planning department, our coroner, and our public works out there. Well, in our current facility downtown, the planning department was there, and by them being able to move to the Archer complex, it really allowed us to kind of shift things around and fit in the public defenders. So now we've got the district attorney, the public defenders, and we've got the guardian ad litem programs in the county. So I guess I would look to our state legislators and I would say, hey, go easy on us, because we are limited with space. We had a conversation last week with Sheriff Danny Glick. He said, listen, our jail is crowded. What are we going to do? We need to start looking at, it's not urgent, it's not, oh my God, we've got to do it tomorrow, but we need to start having a plan. And we've talked about potentially expanding the current facilities, all those things you talked about, moving them. Well, if you move to a different facility, we've got a jail, here, we've got a courthouse here, how do you transport? And then you think about the money that it takes for the personnel to make those transportations. So all of that is remarkably expensive, and certainly not something that we could handle in our current general budget. So now you're talking, potential six-penny projects, and I don't know how else you would pay for something along those lines, but I think everything needs to be considered, and when you look at everything throughout that spectrum, you need to look at all of the ancillary costs to that, and at some point I think we'll probably be going back and begging, so Lee, go easy on us.
Working in detention a little bit, anytime you are thinking about building a new detention center, you have to be thinking multi-million dollars, and I don't mean a small multi-million, I mean a big multi-million. I wouldn't be in favor of anything like that right now. I would be looking for space available. I would be looking for, at times, moving inmates to other county jails. Again, now you're talking transportation, now you're talking tying up other deputies, other personnel that are going to be moving them, the cost of moving them. But before I would ever lay down the thought of building a new facility, I'd be looking at a lot of other ways that we might handle it until we knew exactly what we wanted to do. Office space, again, look for existing buildings and stay within them.
I think as far as the office space and stuff like that that's been going on here recently, it's been handled rather well. There's some facilities over there that in the new courthouse and the old that are being utilized now as office space that weren't before. You had training rooms, and like every department's got their own little area, and that's starting to be converted, and I think that's the way to go. I've never worked the jail. I've been fortunate enough to be a street deputy my entire career. And I don't know if I could. That's a tough job. But I think the sheriff down in Maricopa County, Arizona's got the right idea.
You know, improving efficiency, to increase productivity, to reduce expenses. One of the old sayings I always use with all my people is you don't recreate the wheel, you don't reinvent the wheel. When you're looking at whether to move, whether to stay, or what to do, you get cost analysis put in place by a set of professionals. You do a complete review of the situation, determine, and have a set of professionals give you a recommendation, and that's what commissioners do. They take a set of recommendations and determine which one they're going to utilize, but it's not up to these individuals at the table as to what they do. End result, and determining if we were going to add to structures, build on structures, or build out at the Archer, you know, again, that should be up to the voters.
I think they should.
Keep giving you a mic.
Seems like they're using more efficient means, sounds like to me, using what they have. Just like you and me at our house, we need to move something or do something, we figure it out. You can't always go build new, especially these days. I mean, more taxes on the backs of us, the taxpayers. I don't like that. They'll just have to be more efficient. The Maricopa County thing, I like that. I've seen the pictures of them in their striped suits doing public works. That's good. You know, they need to pay for what they did. As far as, like I said, more building, as Emily says, it should be put to the voters. Have several recommendations and then let the voters decide. If we're going to have to toe the line and pay the bill, we should be able to decide.
I think that overcrowding is a problem. It's not conducive to happy employees or even efficient employees. So I think for the time being, probably what should be done is to use some existing office space if it's available, and then study all the options in order to see which one of those would be most effective and cost effective, and also which one would be the best for the residents that need to use those services.
I'm not super familiar with this situation either, like a couple others here, but I do know that I agree with Emily that it goes to the voters. But the other thing that I would add on to that is that I would look into it and find the most efficient way to make this happen. And my experience would be that likely would be adding on to the existing jail, not starting new, not going to a entirely different location at all, but enlarging what we have right there. Basically, I would just do it the way that I do things in my house and in my business. If I need a new vehicle and I've got $20,000 to spend, I don't go out and look at a Cadillac. I look at what I can afford. So that's what I would do in this situation. I find the best way, the most efficient way to do it.
I gotta agree with Art Hansen 110%, but I'd like to add a little to what he said. I guess going to the professionals and weighing your options is by far the better way to go. I mean, you don't want to take a shot in the dark. I want to take it a little bit further and ask, why all of a sudden do we need more room? I mean, why all of a sudden is our jail overcrowded? I mean, do we have that many criminals happening all of a sudden? Do we have all that many juveniles that need that much help? I mean, what is that? I mean, how come all of a sudden the influx in these issues? So I'd like to look into it before it even gets to that point and see if there's something that we could do to not let it get overcrowded and see if there's something we could do there. But anyway, Art hit it right on the head. I agree with Art.
Thank you.
I kind of like being last. I get to think a little longer on an answer. You know, this is still early in the discussion as to what might happen as far as increasing the jail space. I do know that the district attorney's office is starting to sit on top of each other as far as their space is concerned and the number of attorneys that they have up there with the special courts and just the district courts. I also know that the Supreme Court and Representative Filer has disappeared, so hopefully somebody will give him this message. The Supreme Court is now talking that we need another judge in the district court. In fact, they'd like to have another 1.5 judges, and I don't know who's volunteering to be that half. But we're crowded up there on the district court floor as well. And so we're needing to look at a lot of new space. Somehow, whether we use existing structures, whether we add on to what we have, whether we move out to the Archer, we're still out in very early discussion on this, and we need to do our due diligence. We need to do a cost-benefit analysis. You know, we've got juveniles that are being transported into Cheyenne for their court appearances. So if we had the courts out there, we would save that cost. We save the overtime of transporting them, but we also have the prisoners, if we move the jail out there, that would have to be transported back in here. So you're weighing two different things here, but it's still a cost in the whole scheme of things. It's something that has to be investigated. We need to be looking at the cost and the benefits of it before any final decisions are made.
All right, thank you, candidates. We move on now to a question about the county library. We're going to start with you, Ms. Pumas. How do you feel about the county library, and will you be willing to support the county library in the future?
I think we have a good library. One of the board members is a friend of mine, goes to my church, and he tells me things are good, going well at the library. So I think it's an asset to our community, and certainly I support it.
I think that's a pretty simple question to answer. I'm like Chris. I think we've got a phenomenal library. I think it's a phenomenal building, and we've got a wonderful staff, wonderful librarian. I think they do just a marvelous job there, and certainly that is a service that we provide to Laramie County, that the library board, it's not us, but the library board provides that to Laramie County. I will continue to support the library into the future. You know, the library gets 2.5 mils of property tax, and certainly I would continue to support them getting that. And their income is going to be increased because our property tax went up about 8.1% for this year over last year, and that means an increase in revenue on the property tax side to the county in general, to the fair, which gets the 5%, or excuse me, the 0.5 mils, and then of course to the library, which gets the 2.5 mils. So absolutely, I love our library. I will continue supporting it into the future.
I'm going to agree with what's been said already. I've been at the library numerous times, and there's people of all ages in there. The people in there are extremely helpful and knowledgeable. So absolute, definitely support the library.
I read every day, and I don't have any of the electronic stuff. I don't know how to use it. So I read good old-fashioned books, and I dedicate every evening to reading, and I have for the last 20 or 30 years. So I support the library. I think it's an awesome asset. I think that like any department in Laramie County, that we need to make sure that the money is being spent wisely and the best that it can be. And as long as we keep video games out of it, I'll support it.
In the interest of time, I support the library, always have. thought it was overbuilt and still think we're spending way too much money, but it's there and now we must support it.
I agree. Library's a good thing, my boys both go there, I've gone there, my wife goes there. Excuse me, but like the gentleman there said, it needs to be done wisely, just like any other thing. They shouldn't have carte blanche, they should live within their budget, and I think you should be fiscally responsible no matter what department it is. But I do like the library.
Me too. Great library, great people, I support it.
I support the library. To read, I like my kids to read. I do think that there's a couple of things that need to change. Excuse me. I think, I don't think we ought to pour money into a cafe or a coffee shop at the library. I think that is actually us spending money, taxpayers' money, to compete with the private sector. I don't think that the county ought to be in that ballgame at all. I think that the library has a couple of other things that they need to look at their budget a little bit closer. It ought to be a little more efficient. I actually find myself agreeing with Mr. Hanson that I think it was overbuilt in the beginning. I think it was a little too fancy. I think that there were some better options, but it's done. We're not going to move it now. We're not going to tear it down. So we just need to deal with it the best way we can. But I do support the library.
I support the library as well. I look at the library as if it was a county or a city park. They're not meant to be self-sustaining. It is quality of life. That's part of our quality of life, and I think it's great. I think as taxpayers, we deserve a nice library like that. It is a great quality of life. It is well used. As often as we can educate our younger people, I say we do it. And if it isn't there, we can't do it. So I am definitely in support of it.
I support the library too, and I'm struck by a quote that's on the wall as I walk into the main doors on the west side. And I'm going to probably end up paraphrasing a little bit, but it's a Dr. Seuss quote. When you read a book, oh, the places you can go. You know, as a homeschool mom, the library is infinitely better than filling my house with books, and I have plenty of books at my house, but the library offers so much more. And I agree with the comments that have been made about the cafe, and that I would like to see it return to the private sector, and let the private sector take care of it. I also think that the county budget for the library budget needs to be watched more closely. You know, any budget has got areas in it that we need to pay attention to, where we can maybe trim, where we can move some money around, prioritize our spending. And I believe that the library is one of those places that we can be looking at that. Maybe there isn't a whole lot that we can move, but it's something that's a possibility.
The taxpayers voted the library in. The taxpayers own that building. And we need to watch that budget a lot more closer. I don't know if this library would have passed, or we would have voted for it, the Taj Mahal, if we'd have known that they have a $5 million operating cost. I think that would have changed a whole lot if we'd have known that ahead of time. The future, when we have tax projects, let's look into what the O&M cost is before we pass it. On the cafe, private sector should own it. I told them one time, if you're losing $40,000 a year, I'm not interested in supporting that no longer, even if you have to go to the 3-2-1 plan. 3 for coffee, 2 for sugar, and 1 for milk.
All right, and I guess we're back around again. And we'll start with you, Mr. Thompson. Since we are in South Cheyenne. Oh, sorry, Ms. Lillis. Since we are in...
You did the last.
I was the library.
That's me. I'm up.
Mr. Thompson, since we are in South Cheyenne, what would you do to invest in the infrastructure and development of South Cheyenne?
That's a great question, and you only have to go back about 4.5 hours to look at that. We had an item before us today. It was the expansion of the South Cheyenne Water and Sewer District to do the ARP and Hammond or Lummus development, and I think supporting those projects. We approved that planned unit development back in 2012. So 2 years ago we approved that development, and what a wonderfully planned out development that is, and to have to wait 2 years in order for them to get water and sewer in order to build that, I think is wrong. So we continue to support those developments like that. We continue to support this organization, the South Cheyenne Community Development Organization, and we work with them, and we work with developers to get them the things that they need to continue to improve. And again, that's the item that we dealt with today, and we approved that item, getting that district expanded so they can get their water and sewer.
Again, it's working as a community. The Southside Cheyenne Community Development Association is bringing in some great ideas. There's some great areas down here to develop and make some really good use of, and I think it's putting it out to businesses to come in and the businesses that are there to keep growing. And it's an open area, and it needs to be used to its utmost.
So I announced I was running for county commissioner, and I live out on the east side, as I've said, and a lot of people have come up to me and said, what are you going to do for me? So I'm not doing anything for you. I'm not going to do anything for Alvin, Wyoming, Pine Bluffs, or the south side of Cheyenne, unless it's something you want. I support growth. I support business. I support the south side because the bulk of it's in the county, which I like. And if it's what the voters want and what you support, then I will not stand in the way.
Well, answering this question comes right back into the heart of this. I mean, really having people on the south side, being a kid from south side, walking the streets up South Greeley Highway, as a 7 to 10-year-old, and always being looked upon as a South Sider, or looking at that, looking back, and looking where we're going the last 2 years, looking at some of the plans that are south of Cheyenne. If there isn't chapters such as yours that are working diligently and getting more people involved, all what's going to happen is our South Cheyenne's going to be South Cheyenne, and there's going to be a South Cheyenne. And there's going to be a little hole in the middle. So I'm all for development. I think Troy has said it. He really watches this closely. The current commission has done a great job, or the past commission did, I should say, in taking care of Cheyenne and always making sure they were included on projects when there was money available. And you guys just need to make sure that we do it right.
I like South Cheyenne. I grew up when I was a kid in a place that had curbs, gutters, and paved streets. And I always wanted to live on a country road. That's why I live where I live in South Cheyenne. We live on Persons Road. We bought it from a friend of ours. We chose to live there. I like dirt roads. If I wanted to have curb and gutter, I would have gone somewhere else. But ever since I was a kid, that's what I like, and that's what appealed to me. I have 2 acres over there. We got some room. I'm all for responsible growth and responsible planning. But as far as curb and guttering the entire place, I don't like that. I'm against it. I want to live where I have dirt roads. That's the appeal to me. My friend who owned the place, he moved to Hawaii. Good for him. But I got his house that I wanted. And they paved part of the road when they did the development. So half our streets paved with some curbs and gutters, and the other half is still dirt. Thank God. So I'm for some of it, as long as it's responsible and it's beneficial to us. Not everything needs to be curb and gutter. This is supposed to be Cheyenne, Wyoming, the West. And I still like to have some mud on my tires, so that's where I'm at.
Well, I think anytime there's a project, all parts of the city and county should be looked at, and the south side is one of those parts. And I think the south side has made great strides since I was a kid over here. And so I applaud you folks for all you've done in order to help that happen. The growth of the city is going to come this way. There's no getting around it. So there's a lot of things it's going to be some growing pains, and not everybody's going to like what happens, but it's going to come this way. So once again, I applaud your efforts, and I think that your involvement is going to help the future.
First house I lived in was on Ark Avenue. First school I went to was Hebert As president of Johnson Junior High Student Body. My uncle owns a business that I started on South Cheyenne. I had 2 sets of grandparents that lived here for 40-some years in South Cheyenne. So I understand South Cheyenne. I also know South Cheyenne is already poised to grow. We've blocked up everything on the northeast and west side. We can't go any further, so South Cheyenne is where we're going to go. The greatest thing that we could do for the growth of South Cheyenne, probably is going to be super popular, but get rid of Plan Cheyenne. That's what our county commissioners adopted. We don't need a 300-page document, even with all of the amendments or the changes, variations we might make to it. Our comprehensive land use plan for Laramie County could be about 20 pages long, and it would take care of everything that we need. It would even be a plan. It would even be a plan that would still work for the funding that we're trying to receive from federal and even state and local bodies, right? All we have to have is a comprehensive land use plan. We don't need to work with that. So that's the best way to help develop South Cheyenne and the rest of the way.
I am a South Sider too. I still have a lot of family that live on the South Side. I'm thankful for the existing commissioners and not showing any favoritism and always considering the South Side for everything. I built a lot of schools. The South Side has all the newest schools, the most state-of-the-art schools. I was told all the while I was building South High, why are you doing that? They're not going to take care of it. They're not going to take care of it. And I says, you know what? I'm a South Sider. We will take care of it. I said, we are proud people. And sure enough, it is my least vandalized school right now, to date. They are very proud of it. I was proud to build it for them. And I appreciate everything that Troy has done in doing everything that they have, as well as the rest of the commissioners. I am pro-build. I don't know what else I can say. Southside's always been good to me. No troubles.
I said 2 years ago that the South Side is the gem of Laramie County and Cheyenne. And I agree, this is the area that's going to get built up next because Cheyenne is landlocked to the north and the west and the east. If Cheyenne is going to grow, it's coming this direction. The job of the commissioners is to provide a good infrastructure down here to attract business, to keep the regulations and the fees low so that the startup costs for new business can be kept down. You know, there's been a lot said about the history and the past of South Cheyenne, but you guys are changing. You've got the Boys and Girls Club, you've got the Safeway Plaza, you've got the new Town and Country Plaza, you've got the new high school and junior high down here. You've got a lot of things going for you, a lot of new things going for you, and it is changing the face of South Cheyenne. You know, sometimes change happens, and sometimes it's hard to accept it. And you know, even I have trouble with it once in a while, but it's coming, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop it.
I'm in favor of growth on the south side as long as it protects our western heritage. As long as regulation doesn't try to come in and dictate us and make us Fort Collins. The best thing the south side can do is remain in the county. The best thing that Colorado can do is stay on that side of the border. We do not need Plan Cheyenne 1 foot into our county. We need to get rid of regulation and get government out of the road and let businesses flourish by the private sector in the free markets. That's what South Cheyenne needs. That's the nuts and bolts plans they like. They don't like raised islands, bicycle paths to go down Greeley, widening that road, and not protecting private business and interfering with private property. Our backs are watching this. I've got your back. And what I'm saying, I've noticed these regulations are trying to come in on this side. One thing we not need is to get a business over here and then the city do the annexation that they always try to do. Let the south side remain in the county for as long as we can.
Well, as many of you might know, there is a plan for the land across the road. It is being delayed by the Board of Public Utilities. As soon as they release the water to the Southside Sewer and Water District, we will have a new community across the road. I will bring up something also. The college is in need, desperate need of dormitories or apartments. We can talk about business, we can talk about all the development that's planned across the road, but I'm on the Board of Trustees out here, and folks, this college is maxed out. We have students just overflowing. We are the largest junior college in the state of Wyoming. We have a proud and wonderful institution here, but we can't house our students. Every apartment that's built in Cheyenne is immediately swept up by the oil field workers. So this is a huge subject for the South Cheyenne. And we're hoping the water will come so we can deal with some of it. Thank you, Troy, for what you said.
All right, thank you, Kenneth. And again, I asked to hold the philosophy, and especially if the speaker is speaking, you do take time from them when you interrupt with the applause. So we just be courteous to the candidates. Speaking of development, Mr. Spear, we'll begin with you. This is a sort of a theme of several of these questions. Should the county offer financial incentives to certain businesses in order to bring jobs, development, and potentially prosperity to Laramie County? And if so, what financial incentives would you be in favor of?
I'm not sure I'd be in favor of any financial incentives as much as I would be in favor of open, friendly, and inviting opportunities and service. I really believe that we streamline all of this stuff down to a one-stop shop. People are going to want to build here. We've got one of the best places around to build in right now. I don't think we have to give them any monetary incentives. We just have to keep it open and friendly, and that's the incentive that will bring businesses in and want to build and expand.
I disagree with spending lots of money to give to companies. I think it's a very dangerous precedent to set. I think if we build the infrastructure and have a place for them to move to, and we already have the best people want to move to Wyoming, and if we have the infrastructure here and make it easy for them to do so, I think we've already spent that money.
This is where a difference of opinion come in. I deal with corporations all the time, and I did the research on the statistics of corporations moving into states and counties and government. In today's environment, it's great competition. The city of Cheyenne has been in great competition to bring in the businesses that they have, and thank God for LEEDS and organizations like that that have worked together to raise capital to be able to entice businesses to come in so that our kids have a place to work. 10 years ago, that was the big cry. There's no jobs here. There's nothing for our kids to do. They're all going to Colorado. They're all going to California. And the foresight of individuals back then, and we're able to get LEEDS put together, and the county commissioners at the time working with LEEDS and the state officials and federal officials. We need to have money to be able to entice corporations that bring in jobs other than just minimum wage. Do you want your children and grandchildren only to work for companies that are only going to pay minimum wage because they come in and under their terms? You do need money. You got to have capital to entice business into if you want to grow.
We already have a great state to live in. We have no corporate tax, no personal income tax, no inventory tax, low property prices. I do not like giving our tax dollars to private corporations, period. Sorry, that's the way it is. They don't help everyone at large, okay? That seems to be my opinion. There's others I know who agree with that, but I don't like corporate welfare.
Well, I certainly think that the county needs to continue to do the things that make this county business ready, and that's to have the infrastructure in place. I think we need to continue to work closely with Leeds and the Business Council, as Art said. And as far as, you know, handing them a bag full of money, I don't think so, but I think there's some avenues that can be pursued that would attract businesses to Laramie County.
This is a little difficult to answer, but I think that the best way for me to answer it is that we should create an environment in Laramie County that is so friendly, a lot like Mr. Spear said, that these companies want to come here, that we don't actually have to give them anything to entice them to come here. One of the reasons that I am against giving them money is because, like I started out tonight telling you, I had my business for 14 years. As a home builder in 2007, I experienced a pretty rough time. It was pretty difficult for us to get out of, and nobody gave me any grant money to get my company back up and running. There's other people here who have owned their businesses a lot longer than I have, and I don't think that anybody gave them any grant money to keep them up and running. And they put roots down in Laramie County and have fed families, and they paid their taxes on our roofs. They built our schools. They didn't get any money. So it's really hard for me to say that that's okay. Well, Mr. Hanson brought up, it does make sense to a degree. You know, we're giving them money, they're coming here, they're growing businesses. We hear about a return on investment with these companies, but you know, if that's the truth, all around private investors, if they can get a guaranteed return on investment, we'll go ahead and loan them the money, because if we know that we can guarantee a return on our investment, then we'll take care of it. We don't need the government to do it. As far as I'm concerned with taking our tax money and giving it away, let us keep more of our tax money. Let us give it to who we want to.
Well, I think we are growing. I mean, obviously we're doing something right, but I do agree with Art again on this one. It is an investment, and it is an investment that has a big return. If we do not want our families to travel out of state and look for jobs elsewhere, we need to create jobs, and we need to work with Cheyenne Leeds and those places and create those jobs and make it appealing for industry to come here. It's a ripple effect all the way down to the guy who mows your lawn. If you can't afford it, that guy that's mowing your lawn is not going to get paid. He's not going to mow your lawn anymore. It is definitely a ripple effect. So there is an investment, and anything like that is worth sticking your neck out for. But I think it has to be on a limited basis. I think it has to be in an application type form. And I think there's got to be just a little bit of detail drawn out to that. But I am all for investment and getting a return on my investment.
I favor investment in our communities, whether it comes from the state or the county level. And like Brett just said, we've got young people leaving our communities, and they're not coming back because their job interests are not necessarily what we offer here. They might want to come home, but if they can't find a job, they won't come home. They'll stay away. Our population in this state is aging, and that is part of the reason, is our young people are not coming back. Constitutionally, the state of Wyoming has set up within statutes that we can invest public money in private business. We may not like it, we may see it as corporate welfare, but by statute, it's there, it's on the books, and the people of Wyoming saw to that when they voted the last statute change or amendment to the Constitution in regards to that. I would encourage you to read Section 16 all the way through, because it is there. And you know that investment is being recaptured. We hear a lot about Magpul coming in and the fact that it's 9.3 million because Leeds invested $1 million. It's down to 8.3. And they have made sure that that money will be recaptured by the state with interest, and the money will be reinvested back into our state and our communities.
I'm against corporate welfare. I'm against picking winners and losers. I'm against a small businessman not being able to compete against a big businessman. He finds favor. Leeds exists because the taxpayers invented them. Leeds, sometimes has a prejudice. Sometimes. Leeds should look at the south side for development. A lot of times they look in their own business parks. They're not over here. But money from the state and repaying it back, sometimes that's where the gray area comes in. It's how Leeds can step in and be the landlord why Magpul comes here. And it could create, if we roll out the red carpet and we throw a lot of rocks under the gray area red carpet, and this company watches Colorado straighten out its Second Amendment rights, chooses to stay there and never come here before the 5 and 6 years are up, then the county is obligated, if they leave, all we got is alums. We got to be careful on these deals when they get messy. They need cleaned up a little bit better. I support the Second Amendment rights company coming here. I don't like the bad deal that's created to get them here. If they've got the money to write the check, private sector should take care of it and they should come. But the deal gets boggled down in how they recapture the money. And that's the problem with a lot of the deals that go on through corporate welfare. Treat the little guy like the big guy, and I'm on board.
Thank goodness for Cheyenne Leeds and the Wyoming Business Council. I'm not aware of any money available through Laramie County to give away to businesses. And if there was a fund like that, everybody would need to be treated equally.
I think Chris hit the nail on the head. Laramie County, if anybody's seen our budget, doesn't have money to give to business. Bottom line, we do not. What we do have is a very business-friendly, development-friendly planning and development office, and that has been our pride, especially when we've seen issues with the city's planning and development office. We've taken a lot of pride in the fact that we have been business-friendly, and I think that is crucial. We do have a great environment in Wyoming. We've got a low tax structure. I will tell you, I said in my opening statement, I strongly believe in economic development. I absolutely do. And I got to tell you something, our legislators have battled this out. Hey, we've got this mineral money, this mineral tax that we have. We are going to invest that in economic development. So they make this money available. The counties can't say, hey, here, company, have this money. But what we can do is we can be the local government sponsor, which is required for those grants. And I am in favor of those grants. Again, the legislature has talked about that. They've discussed it. They've decided that they want to do that for economic development. And bottom line, what it comes down to is moving Laramie County forward. It's creating jobs. And I got to tell you, Magpul comes in with 80 jobs, good manufacturing jobs that we are lacking in Wyoming. And you know what? Those are 80 people that are going to need a house. Those are 80 people that are going to need veterinary care. Okay, so that doesn't, so it's this whole thing, well, it's against small business. This is very much in favor of small business, because if we create economic development, every small businessman in our county benefits from that. And then you start looking at the return on investment. You look at Microsoft and the fact that they're going to invest, it's $250 million, and you look at the property tax, just the property tax alone, and then you look at the fact they've got 17 employees that are guaranteed to make at least $28 an hour. You multiply that by 1.5, which is a trickle-down effect, and then you say, okay, this $10 million that they got from the governor's data center grant and the legislature's data center grant and the expansion grant, that'll be paid back in a matter of a couple years. And then what do we have? We continue to have the property tax from that. We continue to have those employees making money here.
Good job,
I was talking fast again. That's okay. It's like a baton.
I'll
Hand it off to me.
relay.
Why don't you keep going for me?
I'm out of wind.
We have time for one more question, and I've been trying to think of the way I can combine a number of questions here. I'm not smart enough to do it, so I'll just say that I have 7 questions regarding Plan Cheyenne and the UDC. So starting with you, Mr. Wilson, just give us your thoughts on Plan Cheyenne and the UDC.
We have the microphone tray.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, thank you. I believe we need to have a plan. I think that the commissioners have started down that road, and so we're starting to look into that more and more than we ever used to, from my point of view. The Uniform Building Code I started out my life as a carpenter. I have an associate's degree in building construction. We do need something to keep things safe. But I think that we also need to make sure that that it's not too intrusive as to how it gets done, or that everything has to be exactly the same. As long as it's safe, safety's paramount. That's what we need to be concerned with.
I've never been in favor of Plan Cheyenne or the UDC. However, it is here. And so therefore, what I am in favor of is the commissioners working with the city to try and get it modified, getting it lessened, getting it friendly for our contractors, for business owners. And I think Mark had a few good remarks as far as what we do with our plan. And there again, I'm not one, why reinvent a wheel? I mean, there are thousands of wheels or thousands of plans throughout the United States that can be modeled and then tailored to what we need. The city plan's already there, so therefore we need to tailor the city plan, and we all have to work together to do it. And I think the voice of the people have spoke. I think the majority are against that plan.
Don't like Plan Cheyenne. I think I wrote that out here. I've been to many meetings. I don't think it's right. We've gone over 100 years in this city, planning it all on our own. It's amazing. We don't need Washington, D.C. to get in our pocket on that deal. UDC, same thing. Don't like it. We went a long time with codes just fine. I think we should look at that and just do what's good for us.
Well, I don't think anyone will disagree that we need some codes in place that promote the health and safety of our residents for electrical codes and building codes. But we need to start dictating colors of buildings and how many trees to plant. I think that goes a little overboard. Do I think Plan Cheyenne and the UBC are going to go away? No, I don't. I think they're here to stay. But the good part about those plans are they are reviewable and they can be changed. So I think it's true. The city and the county should work together to make those plans workable. I don't think we should tout ourselves as being business friendly and then make it impossible to do business once you get here.
I can't talk as fast as Troy Thompson, but I need about 30 hours to cover this for you. We did reinvent the wheel. We shaped it a lot like this right here. We took a nice round wheel that was rolling along, and then we made it do this with Plan Cheyenne. It's crazy. You know, in 1997, when I took my contractor's test, the book for building codes was less than an inch thick. We adopted 2012 codes recently. It's that thick. The physical laws of nature do not change that much. We do not need to change all of our regulations to such a degree that we're building everything that much different. And you know what, we're not. But we're just being told different ways we have to do it. Plan Cheyenne, I've been working since 2005 on Plan Cheyenne. I've been working against Plan Cheyenne since 2005. I've been trying to get people to come on board with me, and now that it's here, Mr. Hanson said it is here, you know what we need to do? We need to get rid of it. We need to just redo the code. I was very familiar with the codes before Plan Cheyenne came along. I was familiar with Laramie County subdivision regulations. I was very familiar with road and street standards. I was very familiar with any of our zoning regulations. We could have combined all of them together into that 25-page document that I talked about earlier, and we would have had a great plan that we could work with for a long, long time. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to get back with. So I'm very passionate about Plan Cheyenne, in case you're not picking up on that. And I would very much like to see it just go away entirely, and we just bring out a brand new plan that will work the way that
I deal with the codes on probably a larger extent than most people here at the table with the size of the buildings that I put in. I send a set of plans to the city of Cheyenne, and I get a plan review. It costs me $96,000 on the average for an elementary school. They do this plan review, we move forward, I make all the changes in the design stages, we go out to the field, and guess what? It's wrong. We got to redo it. The city's already changed their mind, and we got to redo it. That is a cost that is carried on all of our shoulders as taxpayers, right there. So I can't stress enough that people in Florida don't need a snow load on their trusses. And people in Wyoming don't need hurricane clips because we end up with tornadoes. And those little clips aren't going to keep your roof on when you get hit by a tornado. So I totally disagree with a lot of that. However, planning is what I do. I work in the planning and construction department, from buying the property to deciding where to buy the property, all the way up through the construction part of it. You definitely got to have a plan. You don't do anything without a plan. Who would go out there and want to do anything without a plan in place? You have to have a plan. So I do agree with a plan, but I just don't want to take it to the extreme as what the first plan was that was thrown on the table for us.
If you take a map and you put a blindfold on and you get a handful of darts, and on those darts are labeled apartments, streets, parks, schools, and you blindly throw those darts at the map, you don't have a plan. Cheyenne is growing, and with that growth is going to come conflict between development and residential, conflict between commercial and residential. We have to have a plan. We have to know where we're going. We can't just blindly wander into the future. I think that the commissioners made a good start at making Plan Cheyenne more flexible. Is it something that we truly need as far as this county is concerned? If it's called Plan Cheyenne, Plan Laramie County, or Plan whatever, we've got to have a plan so that we know where we're going. As far as the UDC code is concerned, it's almost 300 pages long. We got along quite well with 3 1-inch binders before the UDC came along, and everybody knew what was in it. We don't know. As a developer, as contractors, nobody really knows what's in it. And as Mr. Kupek alluded to, you can put a plan through, you can have it accepted, you can start on the process of building it, and the next thing you know, they're coming in and telling you, you gotta tear it out and start over. That's not the way Laramie County needs to be developing and encouraging economic development or residential development.
Well, we did do some modification to Plan Cheyenne, but when we get 2 or 3 like-minded county commissioners that understand the Constitution and property rights, we're going to push the delete button on Plan Cheyenne. And UDC is the enforcer of Plan Cheyenne. It takes federal funding to fund the MPO. The MPO is going to get the delete button too. You get rid of UDC codes, you're going to get rid of Plan Cheyenne, then you don't need the MPO. We've got to come back to, Art said, reinventing the wheel. We reinvented it with Plan Cheyenne, allowing these regulations, the EPA regulations, come into our county. The only way to stop them is tell them no to the plan, bring them back to the table of a 15-page plan and not a 700-page plan. It could be more business-friendly and made more simple. Safety to our public is key, but we don't need a plan that dictates 700 pages and reforms Laramie County into something we don't recognize that's either Californicated or turns us into Fort Collins. 120 people come to those meetings. 26 people testified to 16 employees. It's not hard to have the intelligence to know what the will of the people is. If this is put up for a ballot vote, it's gone. The MPO doesn't want a ballot vote. They make it in those plans not to allow a ballot vote on this. Plan Cheyenne's got to go, UDC code's got to go, and the MPO can be reformed.
There's very little else to say. It needs to go. Thank you.
I believe Plan Cheyenne was adopted in 2006. Is it 2006 or 2008? Somebody correct me. 2006. Plan Cheyenne has been in effect for the past 8 years. What we did over the past year was an update to Plan Cheyenne. I heard none of this outrage. Every time we would do a subdivision permit or plat, we would look at Plan Cheyenne. Our development office would say, hey, this is in conformance with Plan Cheyenne. This is not in conformance with Plan Cheyenne. This is why it is. This is why it isn't. Okay? So for 8 years we have had this plan. And 8 years the county has been referring to this plan when we would make a decision on subdivisions. So what we did, and I will tell you, there were times when we would say, hey, you know what, this is not in conformance with Plan Cheyenne. but we're going to move forward with this because this makes sense. And I think that's what's such a great thing about having a plan. That's it. It's a plan, and it's flexible. And I got to tell you, you don't have to look any farther than the Swan Ranch Industrial Park. That was slated in Plan Cheyenne to be medium density residential. Now, can you imagine if we as county commissioners would have said, you know what, yeah, let's not do that because it's supposed to be housing. Think of the opportunity we would have missed. That's what's so great about having a plan that's flexible, is we can refer to it and we can say, hey, this makes sense for us in this certain situation, or this does not. So when we went through and we updated Plan Cheyenne, there were 3 commissioners, Buck Holmes, Amber Ash, and myself. We went through this document line by line, word by word, and we highlighted and we scratched, and then we came up with amendments. And then we looked at those amendments and we went through and we approved those amendments. And a lot of the things that we did in that were taking out the prescriptive language. When it said this should be done, we said it could be done. And those are the amendments that made Plan Cheyenne a much more workable document for Laramie County. Now, for the UDC, that's a Cheyenne document. That is not, Laramie County has no say over the UDC. I am not in agreement with the UDC. I do think that the City Council needs to be a little bit better, a little more proactive about making changes to the UDC.
I believe that you have to have a plan, just like you have to have a recipe to make something. But the bottom line, as it's been said, is common sense. You know, when the plan isn't going to work, don't force it in there. Change. The other thing is, like I said, or like was said, again, common sense. Get rid of all, and I'll probably step on a toe of our moderator, and I know that. Get the lawyer speak out of there and get it down to the citizen, so you don't need 10,000 words to say 10. And as far as you know, we've got buildings, residents that have been standing for 100 years the way they were built. I just don't agree with having a manual that's 6 inches thick when you don't need it. And sometimes it really gets in the way. Again, I've seen buildings built, and I'm going to go with schools because that's what I'm familiar with right now with what I do. You know, $100,000 worth of landscaping, and then you got to find the money and you got to find the people to keep it up and the water to water it. We don't need that. Thank you.
Okay, in just a moment, Mr. Hanson, we're going to be in closings with you. But before we do, we have one final question, and apparently I was wrong. I will be answering a question tonight. The question was, how many county commissioners are you allowed to vote for this primary season? And the answer is 3. So 3 positions open. Keep this question tonight. Mr. Hanson, begin with you. 2 minutes for closing. Thank you.
I think you can see diversity within the group, but I think you can see all of us are passionate about developing South Cheyenne, about taking care of our neighbor, taking care of our family, taking care of our friends. And I think if you look over the last 2 years and you've seen the strife and the discontent that's been going on in our county government, what I said in the very beginning, it's not about me. It's about our county, and it's about you as my neighbor, and me as your neighbor. If we're going to spend money, if we're going to pay salaries, we need to find 3 individuals of your choice. 3 individuals that you believe in will work together instead of fight one another, and actually work with the existing 2 commissioners. We already elected those 2 individuals, and they're there for 2 more years. We need 5 individuals that are really looking out for the welfare of your homes, your streets, our south side, the whole county. We need 5 individuals that listen to all of us and help us achieve the growth that we're going to experience anyway, and do it in a proper fashion. Thank you.
I'm going to give it to you.
Again, I'm all about property rights, personal rights, limited government, responsible government, government owned by us. We're supposed to be the boss, like Emily says. They're supposed to be listening to us. We're supposed to be their boss. They're the ones they answer to. And I think we need oversight on elected officials, county clerk, sheriff, and the county attorney, and some kind of, if they do wrong, they need to be punished however the law says. But again, it's oversight of property rights.
As I said before, I'm really excited about the future of Laramie County, and I'd like to be a part of that. This is my home as well as yours, and I think we're all in this together. And the one thing you won't get from me is any publicity stunts or gimmicks, but I'm ready to go to work for you, and I'll give you 100% of my time.
Thanks for coming out tonight. I hope that you have learned a little bit about us and where we stand. I'm not going to say thanks to our timekeeper. You've been very nice, and they're smiling at you. You know, I'm not a real good politician. I'm not real good at saying the right things all at the right times, but I do know what I'm talking about. I've walked it. I've been there. I've worked with so many county departments. I've worked with so many different budgets. I do so many. It's come from a lot of different walks of life, and I'm very certain that if I can get your vote, and if I can get a seat as county commissioner, and I just want it for 4 years, I'll do everything I can to make this county better for us. Thank you.
I want to tell you, I have a lot at stake here. I still have a lot of family, and I've got grandkids that I would really appreciate seeing them grow up right here with us. And I want to enjoy and continue the quality of life that we've had. I will do everything I possibly can. I deal with all the government entities that everybody's dealing with on a day-to-day basis. I know them inside and out. I want an open door policy, and I am a handshake kind of guy. I mean, I will take the problems head on, direct, and I will find solutions. And it won't be my solutions. It'll be your solutions. You are the ones that I am here for. I'm your buffer. You come to me, I get it done. That's how I like it.
First and foremost, I'd like to say I respect the responsibilities and the office of the county commissioner. It's a seat that makes a lot of decisions that affects a lot of lives. It's not something that I take lightly if I'm elected to office, the responsibility of in being responsive not only to you, but to also carry out the statutory requirements of the state of Wyoming. County commissioners, by law, are the administrators of the state of Wyoming in the counties. I have spent a lot of time following the county commission. I have learned a lot. There are things that I know I will still learn and that I have to learn. Listening here tonight, there's a lot of passion in the questions that are being asked. This just goes to show the multifaceted responsibilities and things that the commission deals with on a daily basis. It would never be a boring job. I ran 2 years ago and almost made it into the general election. It was close. A lot of people have asked me to run again. I chose to run again, and their support has continued to grow. You know, you can say you're a politician or you can say you're a candidate, but one of the things that you need to remember is that the power or the seat of leadership is granted by the voters. And I respect that position. I respect that trust that the voters would put in me if I was elected.
Thanks again to the Southside Development Association, and thank you, audience, for being so patient. Sometimes government doesn't move too fast, and we proved it tonight. I will offer you friendly, honest representation like I did in 2012. My voting record is displayed in the back, and I'm proud of it. I represent the will of the people. I trust in the Lord. I love the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and what you, the true bosses of Laramie County, have to say in 2 weeks about this election. I've proven disciplined conservative, and I am proud of that. I said yes to the rights of petitioning inside the courthouse. I said yes to giving $2,500 of my own salary back. I said yes to giving you public 5 town hall meetings so you'd know what was going on. I said yes to letting you, the true bosses of Laramie County, know what was going on in the representation of the will of the people. Yes to protecting private property rights, to mom and pop businesses, and yes to creating the Laramie County flag. There is some yeses in there that benefit Laramie County, but sometimes you have to say no when it goes against the will of the people. We need commissioners that are like-minded in there, and we need commissioners that will move in a direction that works hard for you. I will offer to work hard for you again for the next 4 years. Vote Emily for sure. 2014. Your rights is worth protecting. Your Constitution is everything. Thank you.
It's very humbling to be up here. This is probably the last time we will appear in public as a group. All of us want the job. So I can only tell you that as a lifelong resident of Laramie County, business owner, I've been involved in 2 major bond elections. I was on the stage 2 bond election committee that brought the water to Cheyenne, those many years ago, and the recent one that we just did with the college. I worked for the county, have a lot of fundraising experience with nonprofits, which I hope to share with the Laramie County Fair. And I would be honored to serve you. Thank you.
Quick plug for the Laramie County Fair. It is going on right now. Make sure you guys get out there. I guess I need to apologize for talking so fast. I also talk a lot with my hands, so I'm just glad I didn't chuck the microphone out into the audience. It's interesting because I do talk fast, and I am very passionate about Laramie County. And I'm very excited about Laramie County, and there's a lot to be excited about. We do have a remarkable future, and we've got remarkable things going on in this county and going on in our state. But I think Art hit the nail on the head in his opening statements. It's not about me. It's not about the candidates. It's about you. And it comes down to who do you want to lead you into this exciting future that we've got. I really appreciate everybody being here this evening. I appreciate you taking your time. I know these are long sessions to be in, but to be here and to get informed and educated before your vote is absolutely crucial. So I really appreciate you being here. My thanks also to the South Cheyenne Community Development Association for doing this tonight. It takes a lot to put one of these on, and Lori, really appreciate all the work that you did. Jeremiah, appreciate your work here as well. With that, I'd just like to say again, I'm Troy Thompson, running for re-election. I'd certainly appreciate your support, and please get out and vote on August 19th. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank the South Cheyenne Community Development Association for having us here tonight, and more than anything, for y'all sitting out there as long as you have. I mean, I'm waiting for the break to get out that door probably as fast as anybody else. Voters of Laramie County have a real tough decision to make on the 19th, because I think you can see a lot of qualified people up here, and it's going to be a tough decision, and I know that. As for myself, I'm going to say again, I'm not a politician. I'm a Laramie County citizen just like you. I'm looking to give back, and I would like common sense to be a guiding factor in what we're going to be doing in the future. Laramie County is a place I've called home all my life, and I will also say I'd sincerely appreciate your vote and consideration on the 19th.
What an awesome experience. This is one of the neatest things I ever decided to do, and I really appreciate that you guys are involved, take the time to become educated as to who you want to run this county. I wish more people would. Take a active role in our government. I joined the Army National Guard when I was 17 years old. I've been wearing bulletproof clothing ever since. I have put my life on the line many times in the protection of our rights and our country. I've never given up, and I never will. So thank you, and please vote on the 19th.
Okay, before we go, to end the note, to let you know that this was recorded tonight. We understand a lot of people are out at the county fair and couldn't make it. It was audio recording only. My understanding is it will be posted to YouTube, and there'll be a link on the website for the South Cheyenne Community Development Association. Okay. Now Laura has some thank yous to do.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for the absolutely tremendous questions that you turned in. Some of them were very tough and required a lot of soul searching to find out, what the candidates thought about that. And thank you to the candidates for answering these tough questions. I know that this type of environment is not always necessarily a friendly one, nor is it a very positive one, but I think that you all had some very good answers to your questions, and I think you let the voters know where you stood so that they can help better make a decision on what to choose. So this evening I'd like to start out by saying thank you to Cheryl Bird. She's kind of been the general overall, make sure everything got done and got taken care of. So thank you very much, Cheryl, for everything that you've done. And if y'all wouldn't mind holding your applause, I kind of have a lot of them. Lisa Emerson, thank you very much for timing tonight. I know that's not the greatest job in the world to sit there and tell someone they got to shut up, but thank you for doing that. You did a great job tonight. Jeremiah, thank you for moderating. That's not always an easy job. He had so many questions up here, and we tried to make sure that the questions were fair and equitable, and then trying to organize them all and everything. And you should see his organization up here. It's freaking awesome. So that's great. Dave Novick, thank you very much for the refreshments. We appreciate you taking the time to do that this evening. And by the way, there's still cookies and coffee back there, so please help yourselves. Eric Miller, thank you very much for taking photos and for recording it and doing all the dirty work for us. We appreciate your help. I would like to say thank you to LCCC for letting us utilize the room this evening. I know that timing is everything, and this is County Fair, and there are a lot of folks out there. I actually came straight from the fair over here, as we had kids showing tonight. So I know there's just a ton of Laramie County over there supporting all the youth and what it is that they do. So again, thank you all very much for your time and for your efforts, and good luck in the elections this year. If you'd like more information on the South Cheyenne Community Development Association, we'd be happy to answer questions. We do have Les Mead, who's our vice president here. We do have our Secretary Treasurer Lynn, who is here. Cheryl Bird is a board member. We have Larry Lone, who is here as well. Eric is a member of our board. And actually, Charles Eckert is a board member for the SCCD as well. So if you have any questions, please look us up. And I believe that the candidates will be answering questions after the forum is over. Are you all planning on staying? I'm offering it to them without asking your permission, but if you'd like to answer questions, I'm sure they have more for you. So again, thank you all very much for your time this evening. Commissioner Holmes, thank you for coming out this evening. We appreciate the support. So have a good evening, everybody.
I was watching everybody get up and go out and come back.
It's not fair.